watching the Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championship, brought to you by our 2023 partners.
Welcome, cricket fans of America. This is your game, the 2023 Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championships presented by Lakshmi House of Spices. We're coming to you live today from Arroyo Park in Davis, California, the site of a matchup that has the flavor of a bit of a grudge match. The Golden State Grizzlies taking on the Silicon Valley Strikers here in Davis, California. Joe Hickey with you on the call, hoping to be perhaps joined a little later with some help, but if that's not the case, thrilled to have the opportunity to bring you this one from start to finish. Golden State Grizzlies coming in off of a 19-run defeat to the East Bay Blazers in their season opener last week. That also taking place right here, where the Grizzlies, generally speaking, have seen success here at this. Here at this park, excuse me, I was about to say 3-3 so far in their time at Arroyo Park. They have had a few big victories. They celebrated qualification to the Minor League Cricket Final Four back in 2021 here at this Davis ground. They also, though, have fallen a couple of times to the Silicon Valley Strikers team and will be looking to avenge that. That defeat to East Bay Blazers coming despite a spectacular outing from Anthony Bramble. We'll be talking a good bit more about him over the course of today's action, but Bramble, a new acquisition coming over from the East Coast, has been installed immediately up top as an opener alongside Sammy Aslam, and they've found some pretty good chemistry together. And Bramble in particular was able to last quite a while in that chase, made things interesting even after a bit of a slow start. The East Bay Blazers had put up a pretty sizable total up to that point, and it really was Bramble nearly walking them to the edge, and then Umed Asif, who we will not see today, managing to add a few runs late on in the piece to at least cosmetically clean it up. A 19-run defeat, as we said. They're 0-1, currently sitting 5th, just ahead of the 0-3 San Diego Surf Riders in the Western Division. As we take our attention over to the Silicon Valley Strikers, the Grizzlies faithful will be heartened by the pattern that the Strikers have had so far this season. They have alternated losses and wins to this point, and if that pendulum continues swinging exactly the same way, it would swing in the Grizzlies' favor today. The Silicon Valley Strikers got things started a couple of weeks ago down in Southern California, and down there they fell to a somewhat shock defeat to the SoCal Lashings. That one by just a handful of runs, then had more or less a canter of a chase against San Diego to get their first win. Last week up at Tollgate Farms in Seattle, it was a split of the series with the Seattle Thunderbolts as they suffered a bit of a batting collapse in the chase in the first game of the set, and then in game 2 managed to find their way. A big innings and a very confident and very methodical innings from Shahan Jayasuriya on a very difficult pitch, able to bring them home and bring their record to 2-2. That has Silicon Valley Strikers at the moment sitting just behind the leaders, the SoCal Lashings at 2-1. They've got a better net run rate and at the moment a match in hand in second place. The East Bay Blazers, aforementioned, are currently sitting in first place at a perfect 3-0. We're going to take a look at the team sheets here for the two clubs as they get ready to get this underway. The Grizzlies have won the toss and elected to bat first today here. A bit of a change from the strategy they were forced into by the East Bay Blazers last time out. We've just got, as I pull this up here, we've just got one change in this team as Umed Asif, as we mentioned before, is out. He will be replaced by the 33-year-old left-arm pacer out of Pakistan, Sadaf Hussain, to the best of we can tell, on debut here in minor league cricket. Otherwise, it's as you were. Sammy Aslam and Anthony Bramble, we expect to open the batting. Shivam Mishra and a looking for form Zia Shahzad would follow after that. Karan Jandal brought a little further down the line. As we take a look at the Silicon Valley Strikers, it's going to be a different look for them as well, at least on paper here, or more accurately on a graphic. It would appear Pranay Suri and Lahiru Milantha will be potentially opening the batting as they did in Seattle just a few days ago. Rahul Jadiwala available. Ravinder Pal Singh remains in the team after his debut. He'll be looking for a little better after a one-ball duck. The two changes rather for Silicon Valley: Colin Archibald into the team in place of of Pankaj Kumar Rao. And then the surprise, as we got here to the ground, no Shahan Jayasuriya available, as he will be sitting this one out. He is replaced instead by Anshul Singh. So we have the batters ready to get things going here in the first innings. It'll be Saurabh Netravalkar bowling from the commentary end, the Usman Khan end, if I'm remembering correctly, here at Arroyo Park in Davis. Netravalkar thus far on the season, following right along with what we got from him in Major League Cricket, where he was one of the top domestic players in the entire tournament. Back with a hat trick in the game against Seattle. He'll get us started coming over the wicket, left arm pace, bowled at Sami Aslam, and it'll be a lefty-righty combination here as Aslam fends off the first delivery. Aslam's had his struggles over the last season or so. There's been a lot of discussion about perhaps having a little more thunder down the lineup to allow him to relax into himself a little bit more. He's been out cheaply a couple of times, 11 off 7 in his first outing. That's 6 days ago here at Arroyo Park. Second ball of the over here coming from Netravalkar, staying over the wicket. That one fended, and a chance there at a run out as it's Dev Thadani, I believe, crashing in, or correction, perhaps Pranay Suri over there. Ball worked to the onside. And it was indeed Suri coming in from that short mid-wicket. If we take a look around, of course, first 6 overs, power play just allowed 2 deep men, one of them at a rather wide third man, maybe more accurately backwards square. Aslam had to scamper back, still looking to get off the schneid here. Third ball coming from Netravalkar. That one opens the face of the bat and worked down to a wide third man. That'll be the first runs of the day here off the bat of Sami Aslam, and that'll bring it to the crease. At least at the striker's end, Anthony Bramble, 32-year-old Guyanan, recently of the New Jersey Stallions. Last season with the Stallions, a 151 strike rate, 34.7 average. It's a bit of a slow starter that season, had a few cheap dismissals early in that year, but really found himself by the end. No such issues with a slow start this year. Stuck around for 42 deliveries, 73 runs, 3 4s and 7 6s, and may have been the prior season in microcosm. Slow start in the power play, but then absolutely took off in the middle overs. Stands in from the right side. Netravalkar stays over the wicket to the righty. That one worked to the offside, and that'll be a quick single scampered by the 2 of them. Bramble certainly got a little busier as the innings went along, but it was a big power bat over the course of the middle overs, targeting Musaddiq Ahmed and particularly Sanjay Krishnamurthy. 2 so far off the first 4. I could probably get discount rates, though. I'll ask about tickets. I don't know if they're doing football. They're looking to get a few folks out from the batter's eye. At the moment, a pair of spectators, one of whom is wearing a white hat, is suboptimal. A lot of people from very far away trying to communicate that to our spectators, who we're glad to have, but just don't want them directly over Netravalkar's shoulder. Saurabh to Aslam. That's tapped just in front of the crease, and a sliding attempt, perhaps even to kick that one toward the stumps. Disturbing the pitch. Perhaps a complaint here about the pitch getting disturbed there, either by Netravalker's run-through or by that sliding attempt to kick the ball to the stumps. Either way, it sounds like we may have a warning, or at the very least, field might picking up someone asking for a warning. Bramble and Aslam exchanging the strike nicely here over the last few balls. This will be the last of the first over from Sarab, and Bramble will let that one fly past. A dot to finish it, 3 for no loss after 1.
They heard it.
Second over appears will be given to the new man, hence the lack of number or name on the back, Colin Archibald. As we mentioned at the outset, one of 2 players into the side today. Archibald, 26 years old, from the island of Nevis. Swing and a miss there as Aslam tries to get a toe end and guide that one perhaps over the shoulder of Rahul Jadiwala. Slip in place here is Lahiri Milanta. Have a deep man at third man, Sarab Netravalker, as well as one at backward square. That appears to be Arshpuch. Second delivery coming from Archibald, and that one is swung away nicely. And that'll be the day's first boundary, that one making its way towards mid-wicket. Aggressive shot early here from Sami Aslam, and we've talked a bit about the potential for an attitude shift in terms of how he approaches his innings, with someone like Bramble at the other end and with a little bit more thunder down the order. Very nicely done. We see that there worked away brilliantly, picked up the short length. Some decent fielding by the spectator out at the boundary as well. Looking for it again. Did he get a touch too? And he did. That is going to be all she wrote for Sami Aslam. A bit of a delayed call by the umpire. Our crew today, by the way, Sundaram Subramanian and Ravashankar Barapagowda. But Archibald, after giving up the boundary, immediately strikes and removes Sami Aslam from the piece. We mentioned before, coming out, or getting out rather, in single digits, a bit of an issue last season for Sami Aslam. Happened, excuse me, happened with alarming frequency down the stretch. He started with an 11 last week, but just 6 off 6 for him. We'll get a look at it here as the lefty comes in. A lot of movement off the pitch there from Colin Archibald. That had quite a bit of deviation to it to end up almost behind the shoulder of Sami Aslam, and the shot he wanted no longer particularly on after that deflection. Took a moment. Archibald may well have forgotten to appeal the decision, but it's all well. The rest of the team was certainly going up for it, and that'll mean, again, that Shivam Mishra is in early and will now partner Anthony Bramble. It's going to be a lefty-lefty combination here. Starting to tell you a little bit about Colin Archibald from the island of Nevis, a 26-year-old. Applied his trade in the CPL for the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, as you might expect. Last year, a Morrisville Raptor here in minor league cricket. 9 wickets taken at 22.6 runs per. The economy a touch inflated at 8.83. We've now seen a bit of the light in the dark right away. A boundary early, and then getting this Arroyo Park pitch to talk. New batter Shiva Mishra, 30-year-old Indian, wants to build on a very good 2022 season. Brought his average up 7 points from the prior year to 30.5. Got his strike rate up 27 points to 133. An excellent player of spin last year. Archibald steaming in for what will be the 4th delivery of the over. That one worked nicely. Good sound off the bat and a long run out there at the boundary rope. It is chased down. It'll just be a pair here, but Shiva Mishra quickly off the mark. Deep man, my mistake. I thought Arshbuch before. That's actually Ravinder Pal Singh. This is always one of my favorite parts of cricket in general, the fielding placements telling the batter a little something about what might be coming, indications coming from Bramble at the other end. How will you adjust? Another one that is wide of the man at backward square. That'll be a single. Now, of course, massive changes as you go from, correction, I said lefty-lefty before. That's not correct because Aslam's the one who left. It's still a lefty-righty combo here at the crease. Massive shifts as we go to the right-hander. The slip is now out. Not terribly surprising. Bramble, at least last week when we got our first good look at him here in California, not really guiding much back behind him. Very selective early in the piece, especially about what he does elect to attack. Would have been the final ball of the over, except it's going to be a leg side wide from Archibald. It'll be interesting to see the way that they attack Bramble. There was a very, very clear strategy in terms of his timing, in terms of his movement at the crease against pace last week. Generally set up in a leg stump guard and then covered his stumps. And it seemed last week that any bowler that was able to pretty consistently hit that off stump, middle stump line, he had a hard time doing anything with it unless they really missed their length. It was the wide deliveries and the ones right on his pads that were the problem. That one does shoot straight back to Jadiwala, unable to hold, may not have carried. So hardly any damage done by the wide and the extra delivery there. They pick up 8 from the over, but they do lose Sammy Aslam, 11 for 1 through 2.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Picturesque ground here. We've got the practice nets. Got the practice nets over by what is presently point. Welcome you back to Arroyo Park here in Davis. Saurabh Netravalkar will continue from the Usman Khan end. Stays over the wicket here to the new lefty to him, Shiva Mishra. Mishra getting things started with a double and a single. Saurabh just 3 runs from the first over of work. For Shiva Mishra, we've got a man at backward square, deep, as well as at third man. Pretty conventional field we've been seeing so far here in the power play. Thought about chasing that one, did Mishra, but lets it go by on a couple of hops. Mentioned Netravalkar's work in Major League Cricket, where he had simply astonishing figures of 6 for 9 in one of his games for the Washington Freedom. To most folks, likely the runner-up for the Bart King Award for the top domestic player, that eventually given to Cameron Gannon of the Seattle Orcas, but spectacular work by Netravalkar, and he got right back to it here in minor league, 2 for 19 in both of his first 2 matches. Alert defending there by Gary Graham as he'll scoop that up. Avoids Mishra taking any runs here. So far, 3 dot balls. Saurabh Netravalkar finished off his spell, and for that matter, the innings of Seattle in the last Silicon Valley match. He was responsible for a hat trick on the final ball of the 15th over, and then when he came back in the 19th, took care of the last 2. Seattle last week, a couple of big partnerships in the middle of their innings. One of them proved decisive and got them the victory. Netravalkar was responsible for breaking the one on Sunday, and then brought about that crazy collapse. Work behind, but Gary Graham again alert to it. 4 dots on the bounce here for Saurabh. And Netravalkar with one of 2 hat tricks last weekend. The other one we've been debating on big innings and various other places where cricket fans gather and chat exactly what to call it if you've got 5 wickets in the span of 5 legal deliveries. For whatever reason, double and triple hat trick don't quite work for us. Another one that beats the bat comes back to Jadiwala. Netravalkar is dealing right now. Keeping Mishra off balance. Left arm pace last year was really what kept Shiva Mishra quiet. 114 strike rate compared to that 133 overall against left arm pace, and a 16.5 average, barely half of what he had overall on the season. Netravalkar targeting the stumps with the last delivery. They rush in, and it is a maiden 3rd over for Saurabh Netravalkar. Looking to restrict runs here in the power play. It's still 11 for 1 at the end of 3.
Right here. You guys share this one with all parties. What's going on? Mayud, you alright? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Get me chasing the pillow. Anywhere you want. All up and down.
Colin Archibald continuing from the Sahadeo Pavilion end of this ground at Arroyo Park. Opening the face of the bat is Bramble. Anshul Singh with a direct hit on the throw coming from third man, but a little too late to do anything with Shiva Mishra. He'll survive for now, but of course immediately the shuffling of the fielders here as the left-hander Shiva Mishra now on strike. He was 3 off 2 before that. Saurabh Netravalkar over. He'll be looking to try and get his arms flailing a little more here, get a chance to feel leather on willow. Deep mid-wicket, maybe even deep square leg out of the boundary. Saurabh Netravalkar's back near us. at the commentary position at third man as that one straight on through to Rahul Jadiwala's gloves. Slip again in place here for Lahiru Milanta. Certainly with the kind of deviation we saw Archibald take off that surface earlier to claim the wicket of Aslam. If he gets it cutting the other way, you'd feel pretty good about having that slip in place. Archibald continuing over the wicket. Opening the face of the bat, and Mishra will run this down to third man. Protection there, though. Netravalkar up with it. I mentioned in Bramble, a little slow in the power play last time out. Tough to tell if it was a strategic choice or just simply really, really good bowling from the likes of Nawaz Khan and Abhishek Paradkar in that game. Somebody who can turn it on if he manages to get to the middle overs. That one took a nice bit of purchase again off the surface. Bramble does not make contact with it. We did see a couple of adjustments. If the line and length are good, and they keep targeting off stump, he did get, they got down into a sweep position, kind of a slog paddle sweep, to try and turn something like that into, you know, a delivery that feels a little more like it's at your legs. Try and turn a good length into a half volley. So far haven't seen any of that. He cuts that one and we'll have it fly over the drawn in men at third man. That's going to roll all the way to the rope for a boundary. First one on the day for Bramble. First one since the four that immediately preceded Sami Aslam's wicket. Impressive that they have managed to hold him in check so far. Last season, his strike rate against left arm, or rather, excuse me, last time out, his strike rate against the left arm pacers for the Blazers was 188, as that one is going to be a quick scamper to single. That'll be the final delivery of it. So the one boundary along with a handful of singles, 7 from the over, 18 for 1 through 4. Change of bowlers at the Usman Khan end. It'll be the youngster Dev Thadani coming in. A little bit of right arm pace to come here from the shaded end of the ground. Thadani so far actually the only returning pacer in this squad besides Saurabh Netravalkar. Last year very much a middle overs eater, but he's been getting a little more play here early in the piece. In fact, what little bowling he did last year in the power play, very economical, 2.84 for his economy there. Has been a little bit smacked around so far in the 3 overs he's bowled up front this season. 11.33 the economy with the fielding restrictions, and that's not going to help as it's worked back behind, and just some chasing practice for Anshul Singh. Looks like he did get to that before it got over the boundary rope. In fact, he may have just had to pick it up after it stopped rolling shy of the boundary. Either way, 2 runs. Off the bat, looked like that was going to go for 4. There's a big hoik, using his feet in a slightly different way than we saw against Pace last week. Bramble actually trying to give himself a little room instead of working his way all the way across the stumps. Potentially getting a clue from the field placements about where he thinks Thadani's going to try to bowl him. Deep men presently at mid-wicket and long on. Third delivery of the over. This time around, Bramble stays put, and there's a chance down at the non-striker's end. A little bit of a left-arm Derek Jeter-esque jump throw coming from, I believe that's Gary Graham over there at square leg, or correction, Colin Archibald, rather. Thadani, a nice comeback after the 2 to start. Another swing and a miss. That one fizzes just over the bails. Congratulations in order, by the way, to the Thadani family. Dev's sister, Sahani, fresh off winning Player of the Match honors in the final of the USA Women's National Championships. So, Dev looking to add to what's already been a big week. Three dots on the trot. Bramble gets down to this one as it drifts well back of leg, and that is all the way over for a 6. A little unorthodox there, but Thadani had been targeting the legs a little bit here and there. Bramble had been trying to adjust by moving his feet. This time around, drifts a little too far, swivels, and absolutely wrecks it. Back to fine leg. Get a look here, just a bit of a misfire from Thadani, although to be fair, if he's expecting more of that foot movement back to make room, if you think about where Bramble wound up on the delivery a couple before that, it was more or less right where Thadani bowled it. First maximum of today's game. A ball sent into the stratosphere with plenty of Sunoco. Thadani looking for a comeback here to finish it. Bramble looking for an exclamation point. That one may have gotten glove or bat. Thadani appealing back to the umpires, but no interest there, and perhaps also the line not quite where it needed to be. Either way, it's a dot to finish. 8 runs off of the over, 1 left here before we release the restrictions as we get another look here on the replay at a ball that likely had a bit too much in the way of height. 8 off the over, 26 for 1 through 5. As ever here at Arroyo Park in Davis, California, you've got the party starting early here at 11 a.m. local time. Music always provided to give you that proper atmosphere. Closest thing we've got to a little bit of a CPL feel, especially on some of the weekends we've had where the owner of the ground cooks for everyone. Have to see if we're going to get a little of that this weekend. I haven't heard one way or the other just yet, but it's been a highlight of pretty much every minor league cricket season for me. Got a change of bowling over at the Sahadeo Pavilion end. It's going to be Pranay Suri taking the ball. A little bit of leg spin, and watch out. That is one of Shivam Mishra's favorite things to feast on last season. Mishra last year 62 runs off 31 balls faced against leg spinners. So keep an eye out for how this goes. It'll be Surrey from around the wicket looking to create the angle. First ball gets a little bit of purchase. Nice bit of a spin, although we've got an immediate concern coming through our microphones for the action of Pranay Surrey. Second delivery is worked to the offside. Sliding attempt to stop it and gun it from Gary Graham. Unable to pick it up, though. That'll put Anthony Bramble back on strike here. Bramble, we mentioned, one of the new arrivals on this team. We've also seen Umed Asif. We've yet to see here today Sadaf Hussain. Seems to have been brought in as a bowling replacement for Asif. Bramble was the big news. Also picked up Dilpreet Billing in the draft from SoCal Lashings and reacquired Karan Chandel. They didn't initially retain him, but used their first draft pick to pick him up. Not too much further down the lineup, you've got Harish Kakani. He's a bowling all-rounder from who was with the San Diego Surf Riders last year. He's also in. Main notable departures were Hamad Azam and Ehsan Adil, both of whom are now with the Dallas Mustangs. And for that matter, both of whom were with MI New York, the freshly crowned inaugural Major League Cricket champions. First delivery from Surrey to Bramble. That one's up in the air. Could be a chance at long on. Settled under it and squeezing it. And that is all she wrote for Anthony Bramble. Never managed to get himself out of first gear today. Falls with more or less the kind of stat line that we saw by around the end of the power play last time around. He was 21 for 20, then 15 for 13, from 13, rather 15 from 14 as he departs here. See a look of extreme disappointment. Body language tells you everything there from Bramble. It's going to have to be somebody else carrying the load today to try to put up a total that can be defended. We'll get a look here. Surrey's delivery, pretty long one, but it does look like Bramble toe-ended it just a touch. Right in front of the scoreboard, settled the man at long on. Haven't gotten a good look at the number. I think that might be Ravinderpal Singh. We'll see if we can confirm that later on the scorecard. It would appear to be, at least if the general tendencies are any indication, likely Zia Shahzad striding to the crease. Actually have confirmation it's Arsh Butch who settled under that and made the catch. As we get a look at our scorecard here, second wicket down. We all know the superstition and statistics involving 3 wickets down in the power play. They'll want to get through these next 3 balls without much trouble, but so far, run-a-ball stuff from the 2 men that have been dismissed. Aslam 6 off 7, Bramble 15 off 14. We'll eventually see the wicket listed there for Pranay Surrey once it updates, but for the time being, he's got his first. Archibald has struck and been a little pricey. Netravalkar has been keeping it very, very tight. A dot to start here for Zia Shahzad. Shahzad, one of the 8 returning players on this team, alongside Aslam Chandel, Mishra, Nataraj, Vagela, Bhatt, and Niraj Goel, who didn't play with the team in 2022 due to injury, but was a fantastic bowler in 2021 and got right back to it with a wicket on his 3rd delivery last time. That one flayed over the top of the wicketkeeper and the slip Gary Graham. It won't make it all the way to the burn. Sarab Netravalkar up with it. It'll be a pair of runs. 1 ball left here in the power play for the Golden State Grizzlies.
I mean, the game's playing in there and no one's going to watch it. Or we can bring it out here.
Here comes the final delivery from Surrey. That one looked like it did a few interesting things off the surface. Shahzad just happy to guide it wide of the wicketkeeper and pick up another run. He'll be on strike when we come back. Power play done and dusted, 30 for 2.
Yeah.
For the strikers, bowling has not been the problem so far this year. The issue has been the occasional batting collapse, and so they are going to be looking to restrict this total as far as they can here as we exit the power play and the restrictions on fielders are lifted. Going to see a lot more folks out at the boundary, of course. But one of the big hitters has been sent packing. Both openers now in the shed for the Grizzlies. Sami Aslam dismissed early by Colin Archibald on a ball that seemed a good foot, it looked like, towards the leg side. Cost him his wicket. Just moments ago, Bramble holing out to long on, a ball that just didn't quite have enough Sunoco, coming off the bowling of Pranay Suri. That one is off the splice of the bat, but the roll will favor Zia Shahzad. Nice bit of fielding out there at the third-man boundary, though. May well have been Arshbuch again, the man responsible for claiming that wicket earlier.
You make him mad this morning? You made him mad this morning?
Dev Thadani continuing from the Usman Khan end.
Right, kids, they gotta do the opposite, right?
Against the left-hander Shivam Mishra. Most protection in the deep is behind him.
Always, you know that.
Although Saurabh Netravalkar is working his way back towards the long-on boundary. Also got a man at a deep mid-wicket. Protection as well at backward square and at third man. Here comes the delivery from Thadani. Good looking line and length on that one. Freezes Mishra. Thadani so far certainly showing his ability to flummox a batter. Was chasing Anthony Bramble and his footwork all over the crease. Outfoxed for one of them, and 8 balls bowled. If not for that 6 by Bramble, he would only have given up 3 at this point. Another one, and that one a little bit of variable bounce, it almost looked like, as it did not pop up, I think, the way that Mishra was expecting off the pitch. Got a guy who's in control of his line and length and outthinking people. The last thing you need as a batter is to then also have the ground play tricks on you. And that's chopped on. Shiva Mishra shown the door by the youngster Dev Thadani. An extended spell so far. Well, not extended, it's only 9 or 10 balls in now, but Thadani has certainly shown an ability to trouble the batters, particularly the ones on the left side, and he has managed to get Shiva Mishra again, a cheap dismissal for Mishra. He's coming off a fantastic season, but he goes here for 5 off just 15 deliveries. And that coming on the heels of managing just 4 off 9. We'll get a look at this one as he widens the line just a little bit. Mishra thought he had the width to perhaps play a scoring shot off of it. Pulled out of it at the last moment and under edges it right onto the timber. Looks like it will be Harish Kakani to come in, as Thadani's got 2 balls left in the over. And Harish Kakani last year with San Diego Surf Riders somebody who in little bursts showed the possibility of being a legit all-rounder coming in at 5 or 6 or 7 in your order. 4 scores last year of 20 or better with San Diego. Generally a bit of a faster scorer against spin. Having him involved now alongside Zia Shahzad might be an argument in favor of keeping the pace coming at you. Certainly having a look at the team sheets here for Silicon Valley Strikers. They've obviously got 2 overs left of Netravalkar and of Archibald, 2 after this left of Dev Thadani. But otherwise, it is a good bit of spin there. You've got Srinivas Raghavan. They will be, we talk a lot about Shahan Jayasuriya being out with the bat. He has also been a very useful bowler as of late. So we'll see whether Anshul Singh picks up any overs with the ball in replacement for that. They certainly have enough quantity not to have to do that, but they want to mix things up a little bit. It would be pace, though, in for spin instead. Thadani continuing to target the stumps, continuing to trouble batters, and he's got Kakani with a dot here. Last delivery of the over coming up in just a moment from Dev. Thadani, his 4th wicket coming earlier in the over. Last delivery of the 7th, worked off the pads, and that will be chased down and lost. A bit of a misfield there. Doesn't get to the boundary, but it will be an extra run added to the total as a result of a bit of a misfield in the deep by Colin Archibald. 2 off that, 3 and a wicket off the over. Triple Nelson, 33 for 3 as we go to the 8th.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Full panoramic look at Arroyo Park here in Davis. Site of 2 games this weekend between the Silicon Valley Strikers and the Golden State Grizzlies, the first of them just 7 overs in, as that one ties Zia Shahzad in a knot, just able to prevent Pranay Suri from taking his wicket there. Threatening to shoot it right through the gate. Suri gave up 4 and claimed the wicket of Anthony Bramble in his first over of work. This one worked to long off. Single here for Shahzad. Kakani got himself off the mark with that 2 on the final delivery of Dev Thadani's sterling 7th over. He's back on strike. Getting his guard straightened out here as he takes his position at the Usman Khan end of the ground, Sahadeo Pavilion, where Pranay Suri will be bowling this one from. Worked off the hips just behind square. Long run, might have thought about 2, but Srini Raghavan able to simply trot his way in and hold that to a single. Slip in play here for Pranay Suri against Zia Shahzad. Lahiru Milanta taking up that position.
Not even trying to hide it.
Big rip from Shahzad, and that one's just past the dive of Ravinder Pal Singh. They'll look for 2. Chance at the non-striker's end.
Check the chuck.
Looked like he was home either way, but not handled cleanly over there. Always kind of entertains me to refer to the non-strikers end in a game involving Silicon Valley, because technically they're all strikers ends during a game with them, right? Yeah. Shahzad, good sounding contact with that as he smacks it just into extra cover. protection back there. Pretty much all the protection against Kakani and Shahzad is in front of them. Gary Graham at third man up very close. Surrey looking to bowl in a way that prevents them from getting any elevation on something back behind. Another diving attempt, and Netravalkar can't keep that one on the infield. It'll be a single. Kakani wanted the second, sent back though by his battery mate. That'll do it there. Another single off the final ball of the over. 6 from it. 39 for 3.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go Rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
Not the most comforting reading, this batting card here for the Golden State Grizzlies. Bramble, your high scorer thus far, with 15 off 14, but he was taken out just prior to the end of the power play by Pranay Surrey. Ball hit to long on. I've also lost Sammy Aslam, that coming off of a caught behind by Rahul Jadiwala on a ball that, as we said, deviated off the surface by a good foot. That he bowls of this one. Protection out in the deep at long on as Lahiru Milantha moves over to his right and keeps that to a single. Last week in Seattle, it was a spin bowler's paradise. 33 wickets fell in the 2 games that were played up there between the Strikers and the Thunderbolts. 23 of them fell to spin, and 4 of those belonged to Srini Raghavan. Another single as that goes to the vacant mid-wicket area. Golden State Grizzlies trying to rebuild here. Zia Shahzad, last season part of a couple of decent-sized partnerships, particularly in a thriller we had here between the Blazers and the Grizzlies last July. We have mentioned Shahzad, somebody who's looking for a little bit of a comeback, was one of the best all-rounders in the league in 2021, struggled immensely with the bat last season. So far this year, one innings, obviously. That coming on Sunday last week. 12 off 10 in that one, but don't let it fool you. He was 2 off of 7 off of Paradkar, Nawaz, and Musadik. As that one is straight back over the bowler's head. Long run from Milantha. He'll chase it down. Another single. Raghavan's life flashing before his eyes. And Musadik Ahmed, Nawaz Khan, and Avishek Paradkar held Zia to 2 off 7. And then against Sanjay Krishnamurthy, he went 6-4 gone. Started to get a little wily and then lost out on that. A decent bit of purchase off the surface from Raghavan that is flicked over to the offside for another single. So far, Golden State just trying to build this partnership, get both batters in, get their eyes in, and hope that perhaps against the 5th or 6th choice bowlers here for the Strikers, they can start to mount a little something. So far, run rate not ticking over at the rate you'd like. And nearly got a piece of the body just off the splice of the bat. Another single, 5 of them from the over, but that's all they get. 44 for 3 through 9. The exception of the frustration of facing Saurabh Netravalkar for Shivam Mishra, everybody else pretty much right around that run-a-ball mark. Run rate sitting just a hair under 5 at the moment for the Grizzlies. Pranay Suri will stay on, 10 so far off of his first 2. First delivery cranked right back over Suri's head. That is going to reach the boundary. The only question is on the fly or on a bounce, and it is indeed all the way for a 6. There's your acceleration right there. That coming off the bat of the new Grizzly, Harish Kakani. Just a lot of width on offer there from Suri. That one playing right along the tram line. Kakani gave it the treatment. That a much better looking line. Kakani looked like he was trying to take a step towards it. Expecting something out there at the wide line again and did not get it. Suri diving attempt off his own bowling to try to keep that on the infield. Doesn't stop it, but gets enough to allow the rest of his teammates to pick him up. Good comeback here for Pranay Suri, a pair of dots after the long straightaway 6 from Kakani. That is nearly a chance, as that is going to flick just over the outstretched hands of Pranay Suri. Nearly a caught and bowled. Had Kakani caught in 2 minds there. Thought about trying to play a bit more of an aggressive shot, pulled out of it, popped it up. Suri there playing a little bit with the pace and the flight of the ball. The earlier ones had been a great deal more flighted. Take a chance at the non-striker's end as Suri looking to flag down the hard throw from Saurabh Netravalkar. But getting back to that, Suri doing well on that delivery that nearly resulted in the caught and bowled. Just varying his pace, varying his flight. That was a very direct, very flat, very much faster delivery than the 2 or 3 that had preceded it. Almost got it done. Last ball of the over will be faced by Kakani, and he pulls that one away to mid-wicket. Long run out there, and it will not be chased down by Thadani at the boundary. A good start and a good finish to that over for Harish Kakani. A little bit in the way of heart palpitations in between. But the straightaway 6 directly over Suri's head, and this 4 beautifully struck to end the over. They get 12 from it. You get a look at this. Kakani adjusting now to that line, and it appears that Suri may be missing the length just a little bit. A little on the short side, gave Kakani a chance to get his body wrapped around for that pull. Very nicely done, 56 for 3 as we are at the halfway point of the Golden State innings. Srini Raghavan continues from the Usman Khan end. First delivery gets a little bit of steepling bounce at the end of it. Again, working with the slip in place. When bowling from that end, it appears to be Suri serving as the slip for his fellow spin bowler. Gary Graham able to keep that on the infield. Pair of dots to start for Srini. 5 so far off the 8 he's bowled. Good bit of turn to the outside, but well managed. Shahzad with a single to get things rolling here in over number 11. Kakani back on strike, 18 so far off 13, including a pair of big hits in the last over. That'll help him settle in a little bit. It's just 2 off 10 on Sunday, and bowled by Sanjay Krishnamurthy. Will want to be careful here as he faces another wily left-arm spinner. Well blocked. right back at Raghavan and well picked up. Srini so far absolutely wrecking right-handed batters. He's picked up 7 wickets at a 9.7 strike rate against right-handed hitting so far this season. Looking for another one as he's got a pair of them at the crease, but he won't get it in this over. A single to finish it, but some sterling bowling and some great fielding as well around it from Raghavan. They just get 2 off the 11th, 58 for 3. Change of ends for Dev Thadani as he gets ready for his 3rd over of work. So far, just 11 runs off of it. And picked up the valuable wicket of Shivam Mishra. Thus far, though, Kakani and Shahzad have managed to, well, to maintain in the time since. Going at roughly that run-a-ball mark. Kakani starting a bit of acceleration. Srini Raghavan pulling it right back, the push and pull of quality minor league cricket here. Work to the onside. They want 2. Shahzad coming back. Chance will be down at Jadiwala's end, but no chance really, just where the throw went. Quick 2 to start the over. Partnership right now sitting at 29 runs. Thadani comes steaming in. One batted down by Kakani and Gary Graham. Little pump fake. Sends Kakani scrambling back. Now, recapping the story so far, Sami Aslam down on the 9th delivery of the day at 7 for 1. They would lose Bramble just inside the end of the power play at 27 for 2, and then just 7 balls later, lost another. Is this a wicket? Trying to tiptoe the boundary rope and making the catch. We don't see much celebration. I believe it was made well beyond the rope. It is instead a 6. Having to judge at the time, first by the actual response of the players, because I imagine a proper tiptoed catch out on the boundary would have drawn a bit more excitement. As we get a look at this one, nicely worked off the pads, a scoop out towards square leg, and had it tracked all the way, did Ravinder Pal Singh, but just not able to hold it in because, well, that's not where it landed. Dot ball to follow here for Thadani, who, even when he has traveled a little bit, has done well to react and get his head right back in the game. He's got that short memory you'd expect of a closer in baseball. Still a very good spell at 1 for 19. Did he get the slice of the bat on that one? Jadiwala wants it. Nothing given, though. Now the only signal is that was the one above shoulder height. But no joy for Thadani there. We've had brief illusions of wickets on the last couple deliveries here. That one didn't look so different from the kind of delivery that dismissed Aslam, in terms of it picking up a little bit of seam off the surface and finding its way over your back shoulder. Kakani digs out a Yorker there on the final delivery of the over. The throw is down to Jadiwala, sending Zia Shahzad scampering back. Much ado about just a single. The big 6 from Kakani. accounting for all but 3 of the runs in that one, 67 for 3 with 8 overs left. And Srini Raghavan will continue from the Usman Khan end. I believe that's going to be him being bowled out. Nope. I am misremembering that. My mistake. This will just be his 3rd over of action, which is good news for the strikers, the way he's been bowling so far. Bad news for the Grizzlies. Just 7 off of his first 2 and just 2 off that last over he bowled. And as I was mentioning, he's been able to keep it economical against left-handed hitting, but he has been an absolute strike bowler against righties so far this season. Raghavan, somebody who made the 30-man USA camp back in 2019. The way he started this season might be worth another look. Again, keeping that tight line, nothing to be done with it by Kakani. Kakani so far a pair of long balls along with a 4. Looking for the rope again. That hangs in the air and again is going to get over just by a foot or 2. Anshul Singh willing that one to come back inside the boundary, but to no avail. If Kakani really gets a hold of a few of these at some point, he may well have the opportunity to turn a couple of cricket balls aquatic. There is a creek just beyond the practice nets that are presently at a very deep mid-wicket from his point of view. Looking for more off of Raghavan. This one, though, a good bit of turn. In fact, so much turn that it winds up being a wide. You can hear on our field mics, not particularly thrilled with that call, the Golden State Grizzlies bench. Or rather, the strikers bench, I mean to say. Raghavan, a little shake of the head as well. Just a piece of that one, and it's going to flick off the body of Jadiwala. 3 dots, a maximum, and a wide so far from Raghavan, as Kakani has been the first one to really get him on a swing. That one may have picked up a piece of the bat, and the signal is given. Caught behind Harish Kakani just after he began the acceleration. Finds himself headed back to the pavilion with 34 off 27. Jadiwala was up with the appeal immediately, and it was given just as quickly by our umpire. For Kakani, as we said, a fantastic outing on the heels of the 2 from 10 balls last time around, but we see here Raghavan angling that one in towards off stump, and you see the turn. Just did pick up the feathered edge of the splice of the bat. Good concentration there from Rahul Jadiwala behind the stumps. There was debate when Lahiru Milantha came here to Silicon Valley Strikers from Morrisville last year about which one of these 2 guys would wear the gloves. Because really Silicon Valley have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to wicket keepers. Jadiwala, one of the leading dismissers, if you want to call it that, particularly from the wicket keeper position last season. In fact, you're looking at 2 of the best in all of minor league cricket, or at least 2 of the most prolific last season in Jadiwala and Anthony Bramble, who we'll see with the gloves on in probably about an hour's time. With Kakani gone at 74 for 4, it's going to be Mohit Nataraj coming out. 38-year-old player has found a lot of success as a closer, and he goes for the reverse paddle sweep on the first delivery and got perhaps a tiny piece of it. This might well be a bye. Haven't seen a signal yet from our umpire. There it is.
He had 12 on the field.
Got absolutely none of it. So we'll go back behind for a pair of byes to finish off the over. But a productive one here for both sides. The big hit from Kakani, but then the wicket for Srini Raghavan, 76 for 4 with 7 overs left.
गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
A look here at our standings in the Pacific Conference. Central Division, Michigan Cricket Stars have started to take command there after a win yesterday over the Chicago Tigers. They're at 3-1. Dallas Mustangs have been a little bit flummoxing so far. They're at 1-1. They have picked up a bunch of players that were involved in Major League Cricket, but have won a game on a super over and then fallen to the Houston Hurricanes. So interesting things afoot in the 8-team Central. Western currently ruled by the East Bay Blazers at 3-0. SoCal Lashings and Silicon Valley Strikers, both with a pair of wins. Lashings, with the better net run rate, has them in second at the moment, and with a match in hand. Seattle Thunderbolts, as we told you, split the series against Silicon Valley last weekend, so they sit at 2 points with 1 win and 1 loss. Grizzlies and Surf Riders both in search of their first victories of the season. Surf Riders will have to wait till next week down at Woodley as the first delivery from Saurabh Netravalkar brought in perhaps a little earlier than you might have anticipated. And with a change of ends, they're bowling him now from the Sahadeo Pavilion end, but they will not save Saurabh for explicitly the death overs as he comes in at number 14 here. Golden State here in search of a defendable total. Harish Kakani got them moving in the right direction, but he is done for the day. Zia Shahzad on strike. A shade under a run a ball at the moment for him. Netravalkar, frankly goofy figures right now. None for 3. Looks like it'll be none for 4 in a second off of his 2.2 overs. That'll bring Nataraj back on strike, as yet to have a run credited to him, but caused enough absolute havoc and confusion to let a ball squirt by he and Jadiwala on the last ball of the last over. In fact, Netravalkar won't pick up a 4th run, that one given as a leg bye. As far as Golden State's concerned, they're all runs, as they start nudging their way towards a run-a-ball as a team, currently 5.77, that net run rate. Bang goes Saurabh Netravalkar, and that is all she wrote. It's a 2-ball duck for Mohit Nataraj, and middle stump rather, is left cartwheeling back behind. That was the only thing missing so far for Saurabh. He's managed to bowl 14 balls and give up just 3 runs. All he was missing was a bit of flying timber. For Nataraj, that'll follow up the 7 off 6 that he had on Sunday. Dejected look as he heads back to the pavilion. And we get a look at the wicket. There is just a brilliant angle there from Netravalkar. It looked like a little bit of movement perhaps in the air and then a bit of seaming in, but mostly just getting that by creating the angle from that wide release coming around the wicket to the right-hander Nataraj. That was certainly one that would have been tough to get LBW. It's right at the stumps, but likely would have hit anybody's pads outside the line of off stump. But if it gets through the gate, it is a timber-seeking missile. That'll bring up Karan Chandel. Chandel was last year's opening batter alongside Sammy Aslam for most of the season. 32-year-old looking to be a little more positive now in this back end of the lineup role. Last season, a 126 strike rate. It was a very strong start to the season last year for Chandel, 35 runs or more in 4 of his first 6 innings, but then he didn't top 16 for the rest of the season. Last week, not quite what he was hoping for, 5 off of 11 on Sunday before he was bowled by Brody Couch. Left arm pace, definitely a problem for him last year. A 7.3 average and a 51 strike rate against left arm pacers. And generally speaking, left arm pace has played well in this league. And for sure, this division has a number of really, really good ones. Case in point, the man about to steam in here with the fourth ball of this over. And a call for an LBW, and it's given! The celeb repeal, if you will. Karan Chandel again victimized by left arm pace bowling, and he is gone for a golden duck. Saurabh Netravalkar is rampant. He had a hat trick to finish off his spell last week against the Seattle Thunderbolts. He is on one now. And it's 77 for 6. The Golden State Grizzlies beginning to run out of people to throw in here as we see Chandel step across the stumps, and that is absolutely plumb that time from Netravalkar. Let's see 2 or 3 good claps before he even bothers to turn back to the umpire. He knew. That was almost a bona fide Stuart Broad celeb repeal right there. So that's going to bring Sohan Bhatt up to bat. Bhatt was a nice surprise for this team last season. He got a lot more play than he might have otherwise early in the year because of Vatsal Vagela being off on international duty. And the most remarkable thing was he bowled so well that when Vagela returned, they said, heck, let's just have 2 left-arm spinners. You're both great. And he continued on with the team and showed a little bit of pop with the bat as well. 21 for his average. Just a 101 strike rate, and he's started the season in much the same way, 4 not out off 4 balls on Sunday. But somebody who in quick doses can do a little bit of damage. As a commentator, I am delighted to see him stepping in with the number 7 on his back, because one of the most frustrating things that happens now and again in cricket is you get 2 players out there with the same number. Last year he was rocking out the 26 just like Shivam Mishra. So every now and again you would try to spot who the fielder was out in the deep, and you had to rely on stature or waistline to try to figure it out. Sohan Bhatt, a thin fella. First delivery to him, the hat trick ball from Netravalkar. That one may well have picked up a bit of the pad, but it was wide of leg stump, and so the hat trick goes wanting this time. We did say before, though, Netravalkar got it on his last 3 deliveries of the innings against Seattle, so there's still time for that. 2 wickets for 3 runs, 1 ball shy of having bowled 3 overs. He's already bowled a maiden. He's now taken back-to-back wickets. What does he have for the final ball of his 3rd over of work? That one blocked out by Sohan Bhatt. And it'll just be the leg by and 2 wickets from it. Another just absolutely sparkling over from the left arm pacer, Saurabh Netravalkar. We'll be right back here. 14 overs gone, 77 for 6.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
It has been a rough last 8 balls of this one for the Golden State Grizzlies. They had put together a 43-run partnership between Harish Kakani and Zia Shahzad. But after the wicket of Kakani fell, the caught behind by Rahul Jadewala, they have since then lost 3 wickets for just 3 runs. The last 2 of those coming courtesy of Saurabh Netravalkar after a change of ends and a slightly earlier deployment than you might have expected. Srini Raghavan, fresh off, picking up the wicket that started the collapse. bowls his first of his final over here. Just 14 given up by Raghavan off of his first 3. Looking for the big hoik. May have gotten a piece of it. Goes straight back over the shoulder of Jadiwala, and it'll be a pair of runs as it's chased down at the boundary. And it's another pair of buys.
Gary, you ran so fast, the hat didn't fly off until you fall down.
In fact, I need to take a look here. It's been a little bit since they've managed a run off the bat. That one is a bump ball. Gives you the brief illusion of excitement. Well handled there. But in fact, the last run off the bat for the Golden State Grizzlies came 12 balls ago, make it 13. And it was the 6 by Harish Kakani that just did get over Anshul Singh at mid-wicket.
Gary, you catch your breath yet?
Since then, it's been dot, wicket, 2 buys, dot, leg by, couple wickets, more dots. And at long last here, the drought has been ended. Been all extras and wickets and dot balls up until just now here, the single taken by Zia Shahzad. Sohan Bhatt looking to get himself off the schneid here. Final ball of the middle overs. Change of fielding here as Sohan Bhatt, the left-hander, comes on strike. Does have a little bit of pop. Had 4 boundaries last year in limited batting action. Looking to get under 1, but Raghavan's length is good, and that'll just trickle to Ravinderpal Singh at long on. A single to finish it. 4 runs off the over, 2 off the bat, 2 off of a pair of buys. And as we hit the death overs, 81 for 6.
Wanna keep you hydrated, bye? I don't got flowers. Later it'll be something else. Pitcher's name?
16th over underway. Pranay Suri back into the attack.
What is the chucking rule these days?
Took a big wicket early in the piece. And there is the reverse sweep slash scoop from Sohan Bhatt. A little bit of inventiveness from the young spin bowler and very competent tail ender. And he'll pick up a 4 with that shot. That was something. Hope to get a look at that one in a second on the replay. That was, here it comes. Suri again providing a bit of width, and there it is, the reverse sweep. I don't know whether to call it a sweep, a scoop, or a slap. whatever it was tasty. Third ball of the over. That one a swing and a miss. Bhatt looked like he might have been trying to cut that one down to third man. Suri working quickly. That'll be guided through the gap in the covers. Single for Bhatt, and like many of his teammates so far today, working at about that run-a-ball pace. But for Golden State, they're going to need to find some acceleration here with the tail of their lineup. Zia Shahzad caught in that spot of, do I try to be an anchor here and continue to turn over the strike, or do I take a couple of big rips with the risk that I may wind up on my way back joining 6 of my teammates? He has elected to go for the big shot. That is over the bowler's head, and a running attempt out there at long off rather. but unable to chase it down is Colin Archibald. That will be a 6. Second boundary in the over. Bott with the reverse slap, and now Zia Shahzad, a little more conventional. Surrey continuing to work quickly. Final ball of the over. A lot of width on that. It's scooped over the top of the man at point. Long run, but it does hold up in the turf. Thadani will chase it down. It'll just be a pair. But a costly final over of Pranay Surrey's spell. Golden State now make it 94 for 6. Change of ends as well for Colin Archibald, who's going to bowl now from the Usman Khan end of this Arroyo Park ground. He's got Zia Shahzad on strike, who's 6 in the last one, has gotten him a little closer to a run a ball and has gotten his team a little closer as well. Indications being given here. Pranay Surrey, Saurabh Netravalkar, a lot of leadership experience in here. Surrey has been a captain of this strikers team. Saurabh Netravalkar, of course, some captaincy work as an international with the U.S. national team. Last season, they had the two of them alongside Unmukt Chand, who's now with the Atlanta Lightning. First of the over from Archibald, targeting the stumps from over the wicket. Blocked into the ground by Sohan Bhatt. Taking a look at the bowlers available at this point, you've still got 2 more of Archibald, this one being one of them. Thadani has an over left, and so does Saurabh Netravalkar, so it would seem that that is the plan of attack in all likelihood here. You'd probably see Archibald followed by one of those two, and then Archibald for the 19th, followed by the other. If I were a betting man, I'd say Thadani probably. Swing and a miss as that one goes by. Archibald bowling a very tight line in on the hands of Sohan Bhatt so far. He's managed to fend off one. Lucky not to have made contact with this one. A little bit of first over of work. Bhatt will scurry back. Archibald with thoughts of trying to do a little bit of a tribute to the Women's World Cup. Of course, final coming up tomorrow, and tomorrow early morning. We'll see if I get a chance to to take that in while I stay here in Davis overnight. Got to give myself enough energy, though, for what will hopefully be another high-octane matchup between the Strikers and the Grizzlies. Again, same bat time, same bat channel. 11 a.m. start time tomorrow from Arroyo Park on the MLC network. That one got a piece of the pad as Bhatt did not make contact. There's going to be a chance to try to get him as he scurries back. Graham not able to make the direct hit. It'll be another dot ball, much ado about nothing, but let's get a look at this one. A little late on the moment of the replay there. We'll see if we've got that in the bank. Here it comes. That one may be going down leg, maybe a little high, but Bhatt, not a particularly tall man, and also with a lot of, kind of far back in his crease. He manages to ladle that one back behind a third man. Long run and diving attempt is going to be in vain for Dev Thadani. So after a string of 4 dot balls, one of which looked like it might well be the end of the line for Bhatt, he comes through with a 4. This time around the line, drifting just a little bit wider, and it is a thick outside edge, but got plenty of it. Guided it over the short fielders there. It was a long run for the Donnie. Final ball of the over, not quite yet. Archibald pulls up in his run. Bott and Shahzad so far starting to build a nice little partnership. As we said, they are going to want to accelerate, but 21 runs between them so far. That one run down to third man. It'll be a single from the final ball, and Sohan Bott will retain strike for the start of the 18th. 3 overs left. Golden State 99 for 6.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
A look at the card here. Again, hardly anybody getting over that run a ball mark. Bramble just barely. Zia Shahzad currently just under it. Harish Kakani so far with the primary innings, that partnership that he had going with Zia Shahzad for a bit, the most fruitful one they've had. 34 off 27 for him before he was caught behind. It's been hard so far for Golden State to get out of first gear, and there was a roughly 2.5 over span where they started losing wickets in clumps and just could not get a run off the bat for a bit, and that has really conditioned the innings here. That is off the splice of the bat. Sohan Bott walking before the signal was even given. Saurabh Netravalkar has struck again, 3 for 3 off 3.1 overs for Saurabh, and it looks there like he gets a little bit of purchase perhaps off the surface. Picks up the edge. Jadiwala as well, rampant with the caught behinds today. That one angling at fourth stump and just a little bit of seam movement away. Saurabh Netravalkar just utterly relentless when it comes to bowling that line. He can be inventive, but he's also just absolutely relentless. And so 7 wickets down, it's going to probably have to be Zia Shahzad to get Golden State much of anything and make this a defendable total. He's going to be partnered mainly by the men that are starting to think about how they're going to defend whatever this total is right now, as they are down to just bowlers. In at 9. I gather, based on the jersey that's being worn, I believe that is the debutant Sadaf Hussain. We'll see what the scoreboard says in just a moment. Perhaps working that out among the scorers themselves right now. That is the jersey that was worn by Umaid Asif last week. We told you at the start of the show here today that that was the one change, as the mystery batter does pick up a run on the first ball he faces. And that a relatively rare thing to do today against Saurabh Netravalkar. Confirmation, it is indeed Sadaf Hussain. Our first look at him here in 2023 Sunoco Minor League Cricket, presented by Lakshmi House of Spices. 33-year-old from Pakistan, left arm pacer, currently sits at the non-striker's end. It'll be Zia Shahzad on 21 from 23 balls to face off with Netravalkar now. Just 4 balls left in Saurabh's spell. Turning and firing that one just over the jump of Lahiri Milanta. And just like that, Saurabh's run total against is doubled. Well struck by Shahzad, and I think at this point, you just have to kind of go for broke if you're Zia Shahzad. Not likely to get a lot of help further down the line. Not even a particularly bad length there. I thought, at least from the way he swung live, that must have been a very short ball from Netravalker, but that was not a bad one. Zia had to pick that one up from about a fifth stump line, and certainly wasn't up at waist or chest height or anything like that. That was a heck of a shot. Sarab a little bit of pace off on that one and a bouncer. And unfortunately for Netravalker, apparently drifted a bit high, and that's going to be a wide. So if he went for a hat trick here, he could replicate what he did against Washington Freedom. Or excuse me, with the Washington Freedom, rather, in Major League Cricket, the 6 wickets for 9. Have I conjured it? That's in the air. That is a chance, and that is the end of Zia Shahzad. A catch taken out at cow corner. And Sarab Netravalker has got himself a 4th wicket today. Perhaps some concerns about height there, whether that was a 2nd or 3rd ball above shoulder height. The umpire seems uninterested in penalizing anyone. One bowled into the surface. That one is well over the head of Shahzad. It was a slower ball from Netravalker, whacked very, very short. And rather than take the easy run, Shahzad, to some extent, throws his wicket away here. Catch nicely taken there. That's more or less how you draw it up in the textbook. So I did say if he wants to replicate his figures from that Washington Freedom San Francisco Unicorns game, you know, do something for the Bay Area instead of against the Bay Area. He could also replicate the hat trick that finished the spell last time against Seattle. I'm not asking for anything, just noting symmetry. Penultimate ball of Sarab Netravalker's spell coming into the new man at the crease. Niraj Goel, he wants the appeal, he wants the wicket, he's not going to get it. The appeal falls on deaf ears. He did manage to avoid the bat of Niraj Goel, but apparently must have not had quite the right line. Let's take a look. That looks pretty good. Of course, you don't get the chance to see exactly what the ball does after its deviation there. It's sort of blocked by the pads of Goel over there, but oof, certainly a good shout. I could see why that might have been going down leg, but certainly a good shout. Yet again, Golden State having a hard time putting runs on with the bat. So far in this over, 2 wickets lost, a single run off the bat, a wide, and a leg by. Netravalker a chance for a 5-wicket haul. This will be his final delivery. That one off the splice in the air, running back and unable to chase it down. And that will be all she wrote for the Sarab Netravalker spell. 2 off of it. Sterling figures, though, of 4 for 11. Just 2 overs left to build this total up, and tail-enders only left in the cupboard. 108 for 8 for the Golden State Grizzlies.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
and still quite unsettling reading for the Golden State Grizzlies. They have at long last managed to push their total run rate to the run-a-ball mark. They've been flirting with it for the better part of 10 or 12 overs, but those last 2 wickets from Netravalkar, giving him 4 total today, have got you with Hussein in goal at the crease. Vatsal Vagela padded up in case he's needed. That is going to be a no-ball beamer from Colin Archibald, and he immediately is asking for forgiveness for that. That one just got away from him. Ordinarily here in Davis, you might say that it would have something to do with really sweaty hands, but it's actually a rather mild afternoon compared to what the forecast was calling for. Maybe it's just that I'm in the shade. Doesn't feel like the 95 that I saw as a likely high. Maybe we're just not there yet. Free hit coming up here, and that is driven and taken full advantage of. That might find its way onto other folks' property. That is absolutely crushed to long off. So between the no ball and the 6, 7 runs off the first ball of the 19th. Archibald so far has been dangerous but a bit costly. He's certainly threatened. Actually, I'm going to take that back. He hasn't been that costly. First 2 overs were a little costly, but he was very, very good in the one that he bowled 2 overs ago. He's brought that run rate right back down. So we, of course, have one of our favorite things. You know, if you're a baseball fan, you're very accustomed to the idea of, okay, that ball got a little scuffed up. We're going to grab a new one out of the umpire's pocket, put it into play. The other one, that's a souvenir. For those that might be new to the sport, cricket doesn't work that way. You use the same ball the whole time. Getting scuffed up is a feature, not a bug. When you do lose one the way that they just did, you've got an entire case of balls that have been aged and have been beaten up certain numbers of overs, and you look for one that's roughly the same as the one you had before. So they've managed to find that one as that last hit from Niraj Gul raised someone's insurance premiums in all likelihood. Swing and a miss on the comeback delivery here from Archibald. If you're just joining us, it's been all about economy and Saurabh Netravalkar going buck wild. 4 wickets for him. Surrey's got 1, Thadani's got 1, Archibald's got 1. Srini Raghavan's got 1. That's in the air, could be a chance. Nope, that is going to make it over on the fly. That is another 6 off this over. And so for as much as we were calling for Zia Shahzad to put the pedal to the metal, apparently it's Niraj Gul doing exactly that right now. Gul was out there for the last 4 deliveries of Sunday's game, scored 2. Also, last I checked, was getting credit for a no-ball leg by 4 that should not have been given to him, but we'll let him keep it. 12 so far, off 5 for him. Archibald steaming in with the 4th delivery of the over. That one flayed off the edge of the bat. That is going to find the man at deep extra cover. Just a single that time for Gul. Oh, goodness gracious, another no ball. I have to assume that one was an overstep by Colin Archibald, so we've got another free hit coming, another bonus run added to it, and it's still 3 balls left to bowl in this 19th over. Had 1 slip out and 1 apparent overstep. It'll be Sadaf Hussain on strike for this one. Of course, since the batters did switch places, the strikers are allowed to adjust the field to the new batter. Ordinarily on a free hit, you've got to stick with the same field setting. Over the wicket, Archibald, and that one is going to be a nice change of pace to sneak it by the bat of Hussain. That one kept low. which when you're 6'5" can be a problem. Protection all over the onside at the moment. Long on, mid-wicket, and backwards square. Looking for the pull shot. Instead, that is an outside edge. Nice sliding play to keep it in the infield there, I believe by Dev Tadani. Back behind. So just a single. And that will be the final ball, apparently, of the over. And with one left to go, the scoreboard seems to indicate that there should be one left, but the umpire maybe has realized the error of his ways. Colin Archibald's taking the sunglasses off. I was starting to wonder. I was pretty sure there were still 3 left. Back when I said there were 3 left. So one more. Archibald, who gave up 15 off of his first 3 overs, has gone now for a whopping 21 in this one. Actually, I may be incorrect about my math on that one, but at any rate, still a costly over. Reaching out and poking that one down to point. It'll be another pair of runs here for Niraj Goel. Heck of a contribution here. That is indeed the end of the 19th over. And again, a very, very costly one as Golden State have pushed their total to 126 for 8 with 6 balls left to face.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
So far, the story in terms of your big scorers have actually been bowlers for the Golden State Grizzlies. They've gotten 34 from Kakani, 25 from Zia Shahzad, and a late 15 off 7 so far from Niraj Goel, who continues here. He is on the non-strikers end as we start this final over, bowled by Dev Tadani. The first delivery to Sadaf Hussain is going to be a pair of runs out to the offside. Indeed, it's been a lot of good work from players that, at least as of late, have been better known for their bowling. Did mention Harish Kakani with a handful of 20-plus scores last season for the San Diego Surf Riders. Barring Goel getting on strike and hitting a bunch of boundaries real quick, he's set up to be the leading scorer of this innings for Golden State. Swing and a miss there. Good comeback from Tadani. Deep protection by and large in front of Sadaf Hussain. That one's hit down to point. They'll take the single, and Niraj Goel will look to do some damage off the final 3 of this first innings. There were 2 wickets down in the power play, 1 soon thereafter. And then a pair of mini collapses, by and large authored by Saurabh Netravalkar, who took 4 out of the last 5 wickets that have fallen so far. 4th ball of the over, and Goel will put that one back to backwards square. Just a single. Tadani doing well to try to make the somewhat part-time batters a bit uncomfortable. Bowling at the feet, trying to keep that tight line that we've seen from him throughout. Tadani has managed to keep it to just a hair over a run a ball, 1 for 24. Had that big early wicket getting Shivam Mishra to chop on. That is in the air to long on, backing up onto the old hill. It mimics the Houston ballpark of days of yore. Unable to keep it in the field of play, though, is the man at long on. It's going to be a 6. Sadaf Hussain getting in on the party. Bowlers who hit 6s. That has been the name of the game. 1 ball left to face, and Golden State don't look now. They've built this into a decent enough total. Might manage to reach 140 depending on the result of this final ball. That one over the top of the outreached hand of Pranay Suri. Long run as it goes into the gap. It will be chased down by Anshul Singh before it reaches the boundary. And it's going to be a pair of runs to finish, but especially given some of the havoc that this wicket has been playing with some of the Golden State batters, particularly what we saw in terms of some good movement for the spinners and the seamers. A decent chance that 138 for 8 could be a defendable total. So that late flurry certainly has us wondering what the path to 139 might look like. We'll review the innings as it happened here. Sami Aslam, as we told you, gone early on in the piece. Just 6 for him of the first 7 runs of the encounter before he was gone. Bramble only able to pick up 15 before he was dismissed as well inside the power play, caught by Arsh Butch on a ball that very nearly made it to the boundary rope. Dev Thadani moments later took care of Shivam Mishra, got him to chop on for one of the smallest totals of the day there, the 5 off 15. And then it was the big partnership, Shahzad and Kakani, managing to add for that 4th wicket a grand total of 43 runs, 34 of those coming off the bat of the transfer in from San Diego before he was caught behind by Rahul Jadiwala. But then it was a bit of carnage. Saurabh Netravalkar flirting with a hat trick as he took care of Nataraj and Chandel for ducks. Eventually Sohan Bhatt would partner with Zia Shahzad to add another 22. And that would be before he was dismissed, again caught behind. And then your final partnership there of Hussain and Gul, a rather useful one. Niraj Gul came in at 105 for 8, and that happening at with just 14 balls remaining. With just those 14 balls, the assistance of a couple of no balls, managed to stretch the total to 138, and so 33 runs for the final wicket there, or the 9th wicket rather, and not out. A fantastic bit of work there. You take a look at the bowlers, obviously the pick of them. Saurabh Netravalkar, 4 for 11, picking up right where the absent Shahan Jayasuriya had left off. Shahan was 3 for 11 the last 2 games, just on that spinner's paradise up in Seattle. Srinivas Raghavan as well struck for 1 wicket and was very economical with those 16. It is Archibald and Thadani and Suri as well that travel a little bit in the late going and make this a potentially defendable total. We'll see what Silicon Valley strikers throw at it. The target is now set at 139 for a batting lineup that has been alternately very, very good and very prone to collapsing in a heap. Which version is going to show up? Do we have Jekyll? Do we have Hyde? We'll be back in about 15 minutes to find out.
But it was a good comeback. You know, we got it. Hey, I spoke to him though. No, not him. I spoke to him on Monday. I said, no, he talked to Sam. He's like, oh, I did not know. This guy, no, I didn't know what was going on. They were fighting and then I got pulled into the middle. The next time, you walk away. You walk away there. Shot of coffee. Here's a shot of coffee. Grab us a coffee. How are you? What are we defending? 138. play with the man thing, I think. We hear like this song. Gonna have a dinner ring. What are the umpires doing? I really don't know. What? Ask them what they're doing.
Umpires, what are you guys doing, man?
I think they're trying to understand the song. Torres moved to New Zealand, by the way. Torres. Jake? Yeah? Yeah, he moved to New Zealand. Yeah. I don't know if you're going to pick up
Brownbo by Brownbo.
if you're going to go pelt out there. Brownbo, the keeper? What? How come they send in the night watch? What? They're moving the night watchman.
I am sending in a night watch fun. Night watch fun.
Yeah. Where's Uncle Troy today? I thought he'd be here for sure.
I think he's playing golf right now.
Why? Oh, so he'll be here shortly.
I think he'll come after, yeah.
He'll be real quiet.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna give him the mic.
Yeah. Oh, he doesn't even need a mic, dude.
Uh-oh. Everyone gotta move on.
The target is set at 139 for the Silicon Valley Strikers to try to claim victory number 3 on the season. It's a bit taller of a task than it looked like it was going to be, roughly 3 overs from the finish of the first innings here in Davis, California, at Arroyo Park. We saw power play wickets early from Colin Archibald and Pranay Suri to remove the openers relatively cheaply. Aslam gone for 6 and Bramble for 15. But it was a 43-run partnership that kept things reasonably stable. Harish Kakani and Zia Shahzad, Kakani the leading scorer for the Golden State Grizzlies in that first innings. The two of them managing to put on 43 for the 4th wicket, got themselves to a reasonable total, and then watched as it seemed to all collapse. Srini Raghavan broke the partnership by taking out Harish Kakani, caught behind, and then Saurabh Netravalkar took the final 4 wickets that were claimed. But it was after that 8th wicket, a 35 off 14 partnership between Sadaf Hussain and the man with the ball in his hand right now, Niraj Goel, that made this a total that actually you can endeavor to defend. 139 the target, 138 for 8, where the Golden State Grizzlies finished up. Again, Strikers, Grizzlies, big grudge match here in Davis, California. I'm Joe Hickey. I'm thrilled to be here with you for it as the defense gets underway. The chase almost ready to get underway as Niraj Goel pulls up the run up a little short. We'll introduce you to the batters here on either side then. For the Silicon Valley Strikers, they're going to have Lahira Milanta facing the first delivery and Arsh Butch currently at the non-Strikers end. A little bit of a stir-up here. The Strikers are going to be dealing without their usual number 3, Shahan Jayasuriya, so you may see a few other people shuffled to try to account for that. Butch in the opening role for the first time this season, but he's done a good bit of opening with Silicon Valley over the 2 seasons prior to this that he's been in the Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championships presented by Lakshmi House of Spices. Milanta fending off the first delivery of the innings from Niraj Goel. Goel returning to action here after sitting out Minor League Cricket 2022 with an injury. Good length and a good line, but Milanta able to dig that out and flare it to third man. That'll be the first runs for Silicon Valley. But Goel at 37 years old, 2 years ago, took 23 wickets for a 16 average and an economy under a run a ball. One of the best bowlers in minor league cricket in 2021, a year when the Golden State Grizzlies themselves flirted with a title. They went 12-2-1 that regular season, swept the Houston Hurricanes to make it to Morrisville for the inaugural minor league cricket Final Four, and then fell to the Silicon Valley Strikers there in Morrisville. In fact, all 3 losses that season came to Silicon Valley. They still have not beaten these Strikers. Last year, Silicon Valley were rampant. They went 13-1 in the regular season. Golden State took a little bit of a step back. Hamad Azam struggling with injury. Niraj Goel absent. They went 7-7 and missed out on the postseason. A little bit of a mix-up between the wickets for a moment, and it's going to be a close play at the non-striker's end. Lahira Milanta is home. And the throw, or excuse me, rather, Arshbuch, is home with a single off that third delivery. But for a split second, it didn't look like they were going to go. There was a bit of a stutter step as the ball looked like it might be handled by the fielder, and then very much was not. No harm, no foul. Fourth delivery of the over coming up from goal. Now one run to the man inside the circle. Now last year, this Golden State Grizzlies team swept Southern California 5-0. 2 wins over the Lashings, 2 over the Surf Riders, 1 over the Hollywood Master Blasters, but they were swept by their Bay Area mates and by Seattle. To go 0-6 against those teams, they were 2-1 over a 4th of July weekend against the Central Division. Another dot ball here for goal, who is bowling that tight line. Niraj took a wicket on his 3rd delivery back in Sunday's game as he took out David White early. This over so far looking a lot like that one, just test match type length, control, and variation. Everything between off and 5th stump, and that's another one in that corridor of uncertainty, but a very certain and confident looking leave from Lahira Milanta. That'll bring an end to our first over, 2 for no loss. It'll be Sadaf Hussain, the 6'5" pacer from Pakistan, 33 years young, making his MILC debut here today. We've already seen him with the bat, where he put up a decent total alongside Niraj Gul in that important final partnership. Now we'll get a look at what he can do with ball in hand as he takes on Milanta and Arshbuch. It'll be Bush on strike to start it. Arsh, a U.S. under-19 representative in his youth, part of a major cricket family here in Northern California. His father, Hemant, runs the California Cricket Academy. It's been running for 20 years. Butch looking to recapture some of his form from 2021 here. That ball is in the air and over the top of the man at a wide-ish long on. And that's going to go for 4 here. First boundary of the afternoon for the Silicon Valley Strikers, and a good start here for the young man. His debut in minor league cricket back on August 22nd, 2021 came with a 65 and a 44 in a pair of games. As we get a look at that ball right on off stump, and Bush taking it off of his pads and depositing it over the fielder. '22, a tough year for him. 78 the strike rate as that one goes through the gate and ends up wide of the stumps. Chased down here by Sohan Bhatt to prevent it from being anything more than a leg by. That'll bring Milanta back on strike. Milanta, the transfer from the Morrisville Raptors. So far this season, he has alternated good outings with bad ones and very much has been the barometer by which the Silicon Valley Strikers' results have swung. Out for a 3-ball duck on his debut to a spectacular bowling spell by Ayan Desai. Then 71 off 44 against San Diego, 11 off 18 in the first game against Seattle that the Strikers lost, and then 32 off 28, batting on a very challenging wicket last Sunday. That one guided through the gap behind on the offside. Third man is deep. Sohan Bhatt gets it back in. Butch back on strike here. So far on the season, 4 off 4 in his first game, 6 off 8 in his second, and a golden duck. Although he was in good company in Seattle. People walking back without troubling the scorers. That was a bowler's paradise, and particularly a spin bowler's paradise, so he didn't even get to have fun with that. Arsh also bowls, but he's a pacer. Fourth delivery, that one trying to jam him inside. Digs out the Yorker and manages to scamper a single. Anthony Bramble, the man behind the stumps, you see there with the stylish stun of shades. We've got a couple of that uniform rarity that is a little bit less rare in cricket, the 3-digit jersey number. Bramble behind the stumps with 196. Of course, Gary Graham you saw earlier sprinting around the field with his homage to Chris Gale, the 333. Slip and a gully in. Shiva Mishra and Niraj Gul in catching positions for Lahiru Milantha. That one buzzing just by off stump. And a dot here, a left-on-left matchup here between Hussain and Milantha. Milantha last year, 148 the strike rate against left arm. Nope, you know what? I'm reading the wrong line. Sorry, that's against left arm spin, not left arm pace. Whoops. That's 153. It's not that different as he swings and misses at that one. A dot to finish off the over. The 4 from Butch to start it, but after that, relatively quiet from Hussain. 9 for no loss through 2.
What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Niraj Gul will stay in from the Usman Khan end as he is in conversation with Harish Kakani and his captain Sami Aslam. Or correction, Zia Shahzad, rather, coming up to have a chat. It'll be Arsh Butch to face the first delivery here. 6 off 4 so far for the young man. First delivery from Gul. That one's in the air. No protection out there. We'll see if it's got the legs to reach the rope on the fly, and it does. Big 6 from Arsh Butch to start the third over. Certainly a way to say this one's not going to be like the first one, Niraj. Just 2 off that first over. He's tripled that off the first one, a little on the short side. And Butch doing beautiful work to get the hands collapsed in. Almost reminds you of a baseball swing where you try and collapse those hands and just get the head of the bat to it. Same idea works here in cricket. Looking for another hoik like that. Gul pulls his length back. It'll be a dot to come back here. As we told you, a 65 followed by a 44 in a pair of games on his debut day back in 2021. Just an 11.8 average and a 78 strike rate last year. Had a lot of trouble getting stuck in front of his stumps. Lots of LBWs, lots of caught behinds. Moving his feet a lot better right now. You can tell it's something he's been working on in the off season. Or in the other seasons, given that minor league cricket is but a small sliver of the United States cricket calendar. You've got matches taking place throughout the Northern California Cricket Association, Bay Area Cricket Alliance. If you're looking for an opportunity to play, it's out there. Bit of a mishit from Butch, but it'll work out for him as it goes down to third man for a single. A little bit of a shakeup, as we mentioned in the batting order here today for Silicon Valley Strikers. They started the season with Milanta and Jadiwala. They tried a little something different against Seattle in their second game when they promoted Pranay Suri up to the spot alongside Lahiru Milanta. They may be saving Suri today to adopt that number 3 role normally occupied by Shahan Jayasurya. They will, of course, have Jadiwala later on, Gary Graham, but one of the big goals this team usually has is to try to keep Graham in the shed as long as possible so they can really let him express himself in the last handful of overs. It's been a bit of a problem for the team in the matches where they've struggled. They've had him coming in a lot earlier than they'd like, and they don't quite have as much of that bottom order thunder that they did last season in the likes of Roshan Primus or Raymond Reefer. Those two, in fact, in a weird little note, I turned on the CPL opener the other day, and within 2 seconds, had seen both of them on the screen. That one's going to get away from Bramble and run down to third man, but just a single run taken. They do have the deep protection, and so just a single run, although they'll also get a bonus because that is additionally given as a wide. So 2 wides, and Neeraj Gould will have to re-bowl that one here to finish off the third. A bit more costly than his first over, as we mentioned. Just 2 off that one. So far 10 off this one. Leg by, a couple of wides, a single, and a big 6 by Booch. Can Milanta finish it with a flourish? Nope, that's straight on back through to Anthony Bramble. And that'll do it for over number 3. Silicon Valley, though, quickly in business, 19 for no loss.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Sadaf Hussain will continue from the Sahadeo Pavilion end. Butch with 12 off 8 so far. He has been the aggressor. Lahiru Milanta, by and large, stuck in his crease. Just 3 off 10 so far. First delivery's a full toss. Butch not able to take advantage of it, though. Tapped right back to the rangy pacer. This is just the second time that Silicon Valley Strikers have played up here in Davis, California at Arroyo Park. They do have happy memories of it, though. They are 1-0 in this on this field. That one game, that one win, was the final day of the 2021 season. And so far, both years of minor league cricket have involved mad dashes on the final day of the season to decide who the playoff participants were, as Butch will run that one down to backward point. Quickly on it is Karan Chandel. No run there. On that day, one of the big stars was actually Dev Tadani. Took 3 wickets for 14 runs and had a bonkers catch right in front of our comms position to take care of another wicket. They managed to, the Strikers managed to bowl out Golden State for 106, and it certainly looked like it was going to be a cakewalk for them to claim the berth that eventually became the inaugural minor league cricket title. Here comes Hussain, looking for the Yorker. A puff of chalk would seem to indicate that he hit that right where he wanted to, and Butch will live to fight another day and let it go. But Golden State answered force with force when it came to the bowling that day. The Strikers lost Jadiwala before a run had been scored. And on the first ball outside the power play, lost Shahan Jayasurya after already having lost Unmuk Chand. And they managed to take a chase of 107 and string it way out. They were at 60 for 7 with just 29 balls left as Butch puts that one to the onside. Nothing doing there either. On a chase of 107, the run rate required at one point climbed as high as 10.33. And then Gary Graham came in and saved everybody's butts. 35 runs for him in just 13 deliveries between him and Kulvinder Singh. And that was enough to end up winning a game where they briefly needed 10s. They actually got it done with 5 balls left. Silicon Valley will hope for at least the same result, if not the same kind of feeling, but they have just lost their first wicket as Sadaf Hussain manages to bang the pads of Arsh Butch, and he has gone LBW. We mentioned before an issue that Butch had last season. When the legs weren't moving, he was very, very vulnerable to getting trapped in front, and it has happened again. This time, though, 12 solid runs off the 12 balls he'd faced up to that point. As we take a look at the delivery that did it, a little bit of in-swing, but that is plumb in front. Butch not able to get an inside edge to it. The appeal granted by our umpiring crew today. As a reminder, it's Sundaram Subramanian and Ravishankar Barapagowda taking care of, well, in many cases, sending folks on their way. And, of course, all the other decisions that accompany being an umpire. It'll be Rahul Jadiwala coming in at number 3. He at least has a lot of the letters that are in Jayasuriya's name, so that could work. Sadaf Hussain in his second over in his debut, working on a potential wicket maiden. Just needs another dot ball here to Jadiwala to finish that off. As we mentioned, these two here at the crease had been the opening partnership for the first handful of games. Probably expect to see Pranay Suri after that. Of course, the two men at the crease will be hoping to delay that as long as possible, as so far, Golden State keeping good control of the run rate. They haven't struck as often or as early as Silicon Valley did, but through 4 overs, look very much in this game. And the maiden will not come to pass as Jadiwala splits the gap. That is rolling, 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 and on its way to the boundary for 4. So Rahul Jadiwala with a fantastic start to his innings, taking advantage of a little bit of width on offer from Sadaf Hussain. Had been targeting the stumps almost exclusively, but here, a little bit wider, trying to get it to swing in, didn't move enough for him, and Jadiwala picks up his first boundary. With that, 23 for 1 as we finish up over number 4. It'll be 3 overs right out of the gate for Niraj Gul as he continues from the Usman Khan end and looks to face off with Lahiru Milanta. Milanta having a hard time getting himself off strike, and this is a guy who last season, by and large, whacked away at right arm pace, an average of 34 and a strike rate of 168. Works that one off the hip, but again, the fielders on the circle are attentive. Hardly really had to talk about where the protection is because the strikers so far have had such a difficult time just trying to get the ball out of the infield, period. With Milanta on strike, they do appear to have a deep man at square leg and a deep third man. A fend and a miss. Half-hearted appeal there from Bramble, who was hoping for a feathered edge on that one to send the Sri Lankan packing. Yeah, it can be a slightly confusing thing to look at. The guy at third man is actually slightly up the hill. And so every time I look over at him, there's a brief thought of, is that a fielder or is that just somebody hanging out with water? That's coming our way, just over the outstretched hand of the man at long on. Zia Shahzad, if anybody was going to make that sort of catch, I would have put money on him, but that was scalded by Lahiru Milantha. He's finally got himself a bit off the mark there, 7 off 14 and a big 4. You see their goal just straying a little bit further onto the pads than he'd like. He's been hitting that test match 4th, 5th stump corridor of uncertainty kind of line for the most part, with alarming frequency, but when he has drifted, he's gotten punished. Took a little bit to locate that ball there as it skipped just to the side of us here in our commentary and production position. So a string of 3-dot balls interrupted by Lahiru Milantha's first boundary. Here comes the second to last delivery of the over. Dug out, Jadiwala, that could be trouble, and it's not a direct hit, and he is back in safely. Shiva Mishra ran that one in as far as he could, knew he was only going to have one stump to throw at, and so tried to make it as short of a toss as possible, but could not hit timber. It's a mix-up between the wickets there. Jadiwala thought that they were going. Milantha tried to send him back. Hearts in mouths time there for the Silicon Valley strikers. That's the sort of thing that can derail an entire innings. Final ball of Niraj Gul's third over coming up, as they have just about used him up here inside the power play. Milantha connects with that one. A high arcing ball. Will it get over the rope? It does indeed. Zia Shahzad, a futile chase on that one. Milantha, after a couple of dot balls and a bit of frustration, finally cuts loose. A 4 and a 6, 10 off the final 3 deliveries. And that was a hold the pose for Daphne's sort of shot right there from Lahiru Milantha. Had enough arc that at least for a moment we thought Zia Shahzad might have a chance at it, but no such luck. It lands a good 4 or 5 feet beyond the cut in the grass. 33 for 1 as we go to the last over of the power play. A look at our batting cards so far. Lahiru Milantha working his way out of the early hole created by all those dot balls. 10 off of the last 3 he's just faced. Arshbuch, the lone victim so far of a Golden State bowler, bowled by, LBW'd by Sadaf Hussain after picking up 12 with a few early boundaries himself. Rahul Jadiwala has just faced the 1 delivery, but he certainly made it count, and he'll be on strike as we get this next over underway, the last one of the power play. Haven't yet seen it post, but I believe that's Harish Kakani from the Sahadeo Pavilion end, coming in for his first over of work. Call for an LBW will go unheeded by the umpire. Does appear to be a leg bye given here against Kakani. Taking a look at Harish Kakani, we mentioned a 32-year-old Indian player over from the San Diego Surf Riders. Very much was a power play bowler for them. 56% of his 45 overs last year bowled with the fielding restrictions on, so they give him 1 here. Very consistent wicket taker over the course of last season, and by and large, pretty economical. May have been 8.29 on the season, but he was somebody who never got too high or too low. Only had an economy over 10 in 3 of the 14 matches. So somebody who can certainly be dangerous. He can be a wicket taker. He can travel, but he's not usually going to be the guy that loses you a game that way. Thickish outside edge run down to third man, and it'll be a run right away here for Lahiru Milanta. Kakani was actually the most economical bowler for this club on Sunday in their debut. Didn't take a wicket, but only gave up 25 runs. And did start with a 3-run over and a 9-run over inside the power play, and then a 6-run and a 9-run over towards the end of the piece. That one runs down leg, and it will be a wide. Jadiwala tried to help that one around the corner to no avail. The one change for the Grizzlies in terms of their lineup was replacing Umaid Asif with Sadaf Hussain, who's already got the wicket. Only bummer for me, I was kind of hoping to see Umaid Asif pick up a wicket at some point because he's got a celebration that involves looking like Iron Man out there. You need those trademark celebrations if you want to have kids running around the cricket pitch acting like you. It helps to be a little distinctive. I think of Sheldon Cottrell or Shaheen Shah Afridi. Get yourself something trademarked. Dot ball after the wide from Kakani. Jadiwala reads the length on that one well, fires it over to backward square, but a great running grab from Mohit Nataraj. Placed well, moving better. Saves 3 runs on that one, as that was an outstretched big right paw to keep it inside the rope. Two balls left in the power play. Of course, change of field now with Lahiru Milanta on strike. Deep protection now at long on and at mid-wicket. That one rises up on Milanta, but it falls safely. Good looking steepling bounce from Harish Kakani, and that took a bite out of Milanta. Either got the handle of the bat or the glove. Either way, if it had hung up there long enough, he was going to be gone. He will instead take a deep breath and move on. It was 30 for 2 at the end of the power play for the Golden State Grizzlies. Already 7 runs ahead of that as we have the final ball, and that is straight back past the bowler. Diving play out at the boundary to keep it inside the field of play. That'll save 2. And that will be the power play done and dusted. 2 off that final ball, 39 for 1. Silicon Valley Strikers well on their way, 100 needed to take home the victory today.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
Well, Sammy Aslam will not be bowling out Niraj Goel in his first 4 potential overs. It's going to be Mohit Nataraj starting as the first change at the Usman Khan end. Nataraj bowled 7 overs last year, took 3 wickets, but for 88 runs, rough on the economy side. Had 1 over of action in which he gave up 9 runs on Sunday. And his first ball here is tapped to the onside. That'll be a single as Kakani underhands it back to his teammate. The 38-year-old Nataraj hoping, I would imagine, for a bit bigger impact with ball in hand than he got to have with the bat. He was part of that flurry of Saurabh Netravalkar wickets. A lot more freedom to play around with the field now. The restrictions off as we are in over number 7 of this chase. Decent bit of purchase off the surface. That either the angle or a little bit of seam action gave Milantha a moment of pause, but taps it over to the offside. Nothing doing. Milantha opens the face of the bat, trying to run that down to third man. He'll pick up a single. A reminder, of course, we encourage you to follow minor league cricket at all of our social hubs. Of course, you're on one of them right now, the MLC Network on YouTube. You can follow us as well on Twitter at MIL Cricket. Facebook and Instagram, it's at MILC USA. That one does get a piece of the pad, but perhaps height was an issue. Or maybe an inside edge, either way. Nobody interested. Mohit Nataraj so far, a pretty tight over as we get a look at that last delivery. Angling in, I would say height's likely the problem on that one. There's a reason the umpire doesn't sit back where we are. Quick little toss by Nataraj as he tries to get Jadiwala coming back, but so far just 2 off the 5 deliveries. When you've been dealing with the fire of a Niraj Gul or a Sadaf Hussain, sometimes that medium pace can really be an effective changeup. Takes a second to dial your clock back down. Nataraj liked that one, but it's worked off the pads by Jadiwala. That'll just be a single as the hat goes flying from the onrushing Sohan Bhatt. But an economical over here for Mohit Nataraj. 7 overs down, 42 for the loss of 1.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
You're watching the 2023 Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championships presented by Lakshmi House of Spices. Arroyo Park in Davis, California, the site of a battle that is starting to heat up a little bit here. Thus far, Silicon Valley trying to keep their wits about them. They're going in a run a ball, which for most of the first innings was merely a dream for the Golden State Grizzlies as they struggled to reach that point, but it was a late flurry from Niraj Gul and Sadaf Hussain that built up this total, and at this point, the run rate required you see there in the left side of the scoreboard, nudging its way up towards 7.5 and over. We do have a change of bowling, and it's Shivam Mishra coming in to bowl a bit of off spin. Half-hearted appeal as he tries to wrap the pads of Rahul Jadiwala. So some of the less used bowlers here ending up in the attack. Shivam Mishra, this is his first over of the season. I mentioned last year it was often tough to tell if he came into the game You did a quick double take because the number was right for it being Sohan Bhatt also, since they were both wearing 26 last year. Of course, one of them's a righty, one of them's a lefty. There are other differences, but that's the most clear one. Dot and a single off the first two deliveries from Mishra. Lahiru Milantha now on strike. Taps that one to the offside, but unable to get himself off strike and take a run. Milantha so far 17 off 22, but as a reminder, 10 of those came in the span of 3 deliveries. A couple of bombs he hit off of Niraj Gul. Coming right over in our neck of the woods. That one flared into safe territory at long off. Give you a sense of what's coming up in future weeks here of minor league cricket action. Next week, the party is all down in Woodley. And up in Seattle, as that one is just barely edged into the feet of Rahul Jariwala. Golden State Grizzlies will be down facing the SoCal Lashings. East Bay Blazers will take on Seattle, as that one is again just going to be over the head of the man here at fine leg. Rahul Jariwala trying an inventive shot and just barely nudged it over the edge of Niraj Gul. We'll pick up the chat on upcoming schedule when we come back. For now, 8 overs done, 45 for 1.
What's up, Doug?
What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Just the one wicket down, Arsh Butch gone LBW after a dozen runs off 13 deliveries, a baker's dozen deliveries. So far, Rahul Jariwala and Lahiru Milantha going a smidge under a run of ball as well. Looking to try to up the ante a little bit here in a run chase of 139. We're going to get our first look at some leg spin coming from the Usman Khan end as Zia Shahzad prepares to bowl. We're starting to mention before the last break what's coming up in minor league cricket action here in the Western Division, and it is going to be Golden State headed down to Woodley Park to face off with the SoCal Lashings on Saturday and Sunday. That'll be following a Southern California derby between the Lashings and the Surf Riders on Friday. Meanwhile, East Bay Blazers will take care of their road trip up to Seattle. Silicon Valley is going to be idle. By the end of this week, they will have actually played 6 of their 10 games this season, making this run chase all the more important as that one is going to scoot by everybody. Missed the bat, missed the wicket keeper, rolling its way up the hill, and appears to be 5 wides. Or correction, perhaps just 4 byes, I should say. Depends on which signal we get from the umpire in a moment here. Oh, my mistake. Apparently that there was some bat on that one. That is just simply given as 4 runs. And 4 welcome ones for Rahul Jariwala, who started so well. And indeed, we see now on the replay the slightest of nudges to get that by Bramble. I just thought that was a ball that had some turn and bamboozled everybody. Second delivery is swatted back behind. It's a direct hit at the striker's end, but a little bit late. A lot of excitement, but at the end of the day, just a single. Our next game up here in the Bay Area after today will actually be Golden State versus the East Bay Blazers. That on Friday, September 1st. Then the final 2 weekends of the season, we'll have action at Morgan Hill Outdoor Sports Complex, the 9th and 10th, and in Santa Clara, the 16th and 17th. That one is headed directly over my head and has folks ducking for cover. I don't know if that got into somebody else's property or just into the plant, but either way, it is 6 big runs. That was absolutely smashed. You would have gotten a much different reaction from me if I hadn't been sitting here in absolute terror, because that thing went up in the clouds and I couldn't find it. I was sitting over here hoping it wasn't about to destroy electronics or craniums. That'll give us a pause in the action here as we go out to pick out another new ball at the danger here, as Rahul Jadiwala, or excuse me, rather Lahira Milantha, targeting the fence back here. Starting to say, though, this is a pretty pivotal weekend for Silicon Valley. By the end of this week, they will have played more than half their schedule. If they were to sweep the 2 games, they'd feel pretty good about things. They'd be sitting at 4-2. If they split them 3-3, they're going to definitely be in the thick of what appears to be a pretty furious battle for the 2nd through 5th positions in this division. But if they were to lose both of these games to Golden State here this weekend, that could really spell doom for them, as that one is going to be guided through a gap and then assisted by a misfield. It'll be another 4 runs here. That one perhaps a little less deserved. It's a good shot, don't get me wrong, but definitely some assistance on that as Milantha opens the face of the bat. A gorgeous cut shot, run down to backward point. And it was Gul and Chandel trying to deal with that over there, and just neither one of them able to get a strong hand to it. Expensive first over here for Zia Shahzad so far. 3 boundary shots off of it. Milantha will shoot this one towards the gap. That's not going to have enough Sunoco to reach the boundary this time, though. Nataraj up with it, and it's a single. A whopping 16 so far off the over, and this is the sort of thing Silicon Valley was renowned for last season. They would have somewhat circumspect power plays, and then the middle overs would kick on, and they would just bury you. They're looking for a little bit of that. They haven't really had a game with that sort of dimension to it so far this season. Maybe the one against San Diego, but mostly it's been a lot of really hard work. 9 overs done and dusted. 17 from that one off Shahzad, 62 for 1.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
After a couple of Arshbuch boundaries got them off to a decent start, this partnership has now expanded to 43 off 32 for the 2nd wicket. And that on the heels of a big over against Zia Shahzad. It's going to be Shivam Mishra continuing with the off spin from the Sahadeo Pavilion end, and Rahul Jadiwala picking up a single on the first delivery. Mishra with a 6.2 economy lifetime in T20s, according to Cricket Club's cricket data, as Lahira Milantha drags that one into the gap on the onside. Again, difficulties just picking up the ball. It'll just be another single. His first over was a tight one, went for just 3. This righty-lefty mixture, though, of Jadiwala and Milantha causing a lot of movement around the field. That can get to you eventually at the end of a hot day. Temperature has come up into the mid-90s, as that is all manner of chaos, and Lahiru Milanta has come away with a knock for it, as that ball was shot straight at the non-striker. Very nearly cannoned off of him into the stumps. Shivam Mishra picked it back up. Milanta needed a moment to figure out exactly where he was. Scampered back and is shaking out the bees right now from that elbow. Jadiwala lifts this one to the offside, just wide of the man at long off, and that's going to be another 6 runs for the Silicon Valley Strikers. Oppo power from Rahul Jadiwala. Just a gorgeous inside-out swing off of this. Picked up the length well, bit on the full side from Shivam Mishra, and the next one is pushed through the gap as well over on the backward square leg area. That'll be a single for Jadiwala, and you like that tendency here for Silicon Valley Strikers. You get the big hit, and then you immediately go ahead and get yourself off strike. Let Lahiru Milanta go to town as well. Keep mixing it up. Keep the Golden State Grizzlies defense moving around. Field placements changing ball to ball as a result. That one run off the face of the bat, and that's going to be a tough run here. A nice diving stop by Sohan Bhatt to limit that to a single. That's some fantastic fielding from the young man. It's a 10-run over, and with that 6 earlier from Rahul Jadiwala, half the job done as we have half the balls bowled. 10 overs down, 72 for 1. The partnership now 53 off 38 balls between Lahiru Milanta and Rahul Jadiwala. It hasn't always functioned well as an opening partnership, but it's going great for the second wicket right now for the Silicon Valley Strikers. And it'll be Mohit Nataraj bowling from the Usman Khan end. That ball flayed a big, thick edge, and it's going to run fine of third man Niraj Gul for another boundary shot. I'm not mistaken, I see last year's producer Bud Jadabans there in the background of that shot. Avid Golden State Grizzlies fan, as anyone who has listened to one of those streams in the past would tell you. Riding a little bit of his luck there, Lahiru Milanta, to pick up that 4, but a great start to the over here as Mohit Nataraj looking for that medium pace to potentially be a partnership breaker. Trying for the direct hit there, but unable to hit the stumps from third man. Karan Chandel looking for an impact in this match. While we were waiting for this over to get rolling, there was a good long chunk of time the ball was sitting in the hands of the captain, Sami Aslam, and back in 2021, he was one heck of a partnership breaker. Only bowled 5 overs, but took 4 wickets. Generally brought himself in and seemed to have that magic touch. Thought we were about to see a little bit of that, but he hands it to Nataraj instead. It's a dot ball off the third. Aslam obligingly entering the screen as a fielder at the moment we're talking about him. That one worked straight back up the middle. Another single out there to Kakani. And Silicon Valley Strikers at this point feeling like if they can keep these guys out here maybe for another 2 or 3 overs, even if they were to lose a couple of wickets, there's a lot of firepower now underneath. The problem in the last handful of games has been losing 3 or 4 wickets and then discovering you don't have much power left underneath that. But to be this far in, just 1 down, It's about as well as things could go for the men in blue. Another single quickly running between the wickets there, between Milantha and Jadiwala. One ball left here in the 11th over. Big time off-pace delivery. It might have been a knuckleball out of the hands of Nataraj, and I think he thought it was going to do something a little more exciting, but as it is, it's another single. Pretty tight over after the 4 to start it. 80 for 1. 9 overs from the finish.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
Kakani back into the attack from the Sahadeo Pavilion end. He'll be bowling at Rahul Jadiwala here for the first delivery, and Jadiwala now sitting on 25 from 22. Milantha has begun accelerating as well, 37 off 31, both of them dealing nicely in boundaries. Jadiwala, though, looking to exchange the strike here. As we said, a really just gorgeous balance of the running between the wickets, the quick singles, the rotation of strike, and then just taking the bad balls and putting them away as they deserve. Lahira Milantha back on strike, and he'll be facing off against the right arm pace, as we mentioned, somebody who had a strike rate of 168 against right arm pace. And this inning so far has been shaped very much like a lot of what he did with Morrisville last year. Had a tendency to struggle a little bit to get away in the power play. Just generally speaking, not striking very highly then, but a 151 strike rate in the middle overs. When he could get through the fielding restriction time as an attempt to try to run out Jadiwala at the striker's end, goes begging. Been struggling this week as well, or excuse me, this season as well, trying to get away in the power play. Just 2 4s in 39 balls, a strike rate of 95. But just like last year, the middle overs, that's where he has really shined. If he can stick around long enough, and he usually does, starts to get very, very dangerous. It's Jadiwala facing this one, though. And speaking of dangerous, Jadiwala pulls that one. Thought he had found the gap a little bit better there between the man at mid-wicket and the man at backward square, but protection at the boundary, able to deal with that. Just 3 singles so far off Kakani. Gave up just 5 in his first over of work. Full toss put away, but again, protection there. Almost the same spot that that Jadiwala played the one before, albeit to the other side since Lahira's lefty. Perhaps one of the surprises so far, we've yet to see any Vatsal Vagela in this match, and I can imagine why, perhaps with Lahira Milantha in, you might want to avoid that. Last season against left arm spin, 148 strike rate and 59% of his runs courtesy of boundaries. But it is keeping one of Golden State's best strike bowlers out of the attack. That one in the air toward Vagela, but it's going to take one hop. Good quick feet there from the young man out in the deep. Able to chase it down and limit it to yet another single. 5 of those on the trot. Some bend but don't break bowling right now from Harish Kakani. The The equation at the moment, 54 off 49 deliveries. That one given as a wide by the umpire. A reminder, today's game officiated by Sundaram Subramanian and Ravashankar Barapagowda. Kakani seemingly a little surprised by the wide call. Six so far from the over, looking for a strong finish here. That one got a little bit of purchase off the surface, and it actually gets by Anthony Bramble, who may have come up a little bit hurt from the collision of the ball with his body after that one got through. We'll see if there's any evidence on the replay, but he comes away walking a little bit gingerly as the ball got some serious seam movement off the surface. Got away from Jadiwala and took a bite out of the big man wearing 196 on his back. We'll take a break here, 87 for 1 with 8 overs to go.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Fresh gloves for the men in the middle, who have now batted for 8 overs alongside one another. That partnership has gotten all the way up to 68 off 51 balls and is threatening to make this a bit less exciting of a chase than it looked like it was going to be. Silicon Valley at the moment on a bit of a canter. Man with the ball in hand, Mohit Nataraj looking for a wicket that would change that in a hurry. 2023 Sunoco MILC is brought to you by Lakshmi House of Spices, and we're looking around the spice cabinet right now for the Silicon Valley Strikers. There is a lot of batting still left at this point. Pranay Suri, Gary Graham, chief among them, as that one is going to fall safely. Airborne for just a moment, but wide of Sammy Aslam in the covers. We were saying, though, Gary Graham available alongside Pranay Suri. Colin Archibald, in fact, a pretty decent death overs batter as well, according to Nate Hayes, who, the moment I saw his name on the team sheet, well, time to go find my favorite Morrisville Raptors commentator, fan, and art designer, and find out what I need to know about this guy. Swing and a miss there, but the ball outside the tram lines. That'll be a wide. Can't be giving away free runs at a time like this here, as the run rate required is crawling its way down towards a run a ball. When we talk about the big hitters down the lineup for Silicon Valley Strikers, it's almost getting time to start classifying Saurabh Netravalkar in that, as that is going to find the gap beautifully. A sprint along the boundary, though, to limit that to just 2. Fantastic work out there. Trying to get a sense of who that was out there with that wild dash. May well have been Sohan Bhatt. No one's going to catch this one, though. Drilled to long off and gone for another 6. Lahiru Milantha on the verge potentially of bringing up a second half century here in the colors of the Silicon Valley Strikers. Nataraj that time gets the length a little bit wrong, and that half volley is absolutely stroked. Fifth legal delivery of the over from Nataraj, and it's going to find Lahiru Milanta caught in two minds. With that Lahiru Milanta 6, Silicon Valley Strikers now have that run rate required down under 6 runs and over, and that one lands just by the berm. Let's find out, is that a 4 or a 6 on the final ball? And it's indeed another 6 for Lahiru Milanta. 12 runs off the final 3 deliveries rather, of that over. And it is a costly one for Mohit Nataraj. Going for the slower delivery again, right in the slot. Milanta opens the face of the bat, slices it out there, and Sohan Bhatt can only watch it land just barely past the barrier. 7 overs to go, 104 for 1, starting to get all that much easier for the Silicon Valley Strikers. Harish Kakani stays on from the Sahadeo Pavilion end. First deliveries stroked just past the feet of the non-striker at the other end. Rahul Jadiwala with a single to start. And that required run rate has dropped all the way down under 5 now, just 34 runs required off the remaining 41 deliveries. And this partnership has gotten them past the century mark here, the 100 up on that 6 that closed out the over. Partnership itself nudging its way towards the century mark, 86 off 59 balls now. Full toss and scooped and helped right along its way. Waiting for the signal from our umpire. Looks like he wants to call that a 6. And apparently in that situation, you have to wait for the indication from the fielder himself. Vatsal Vagela reporting that one didn't get there on the fly. Still, though, a gorgeous shot. Milanta reading that line immediately. And again, Golden State struggling a bit with their length the last couple of overs. A lot of either attempted Yorkers or just missed length balls. Either way, a lot of balls in the slot right now, and Jadiwala and Milanta are not missing. That's a much better delivery there. Milanta steps aside, tries to run it down to third man. Nothing doing there, and a dot ball for Kakani. Behind the batter, fielders starting to crowd in a little bit. Although it can also look that way a little bit because the umpires are dressed not unlike the Golden State Grizzlies, so it kind of looks like there's a few more fielders out there. That one's going to go by the swing of Milanta. Change of pace there as Kakani goes pace off. Grizzlies looking to try to use the aggression that has been on full display as of late against him. Lahiru Milanta's half century there at 58 off 42. That his second of the season here for the Silicon Valley Strikers. They won the other game when he had one. That is through the hands of Sami Aslam. It was a sharp chance, no doubt. It's going to be 2 runs here as Zia Shahzad runs in. Fires it back into the gloves of Anthony Bramble behind the wicket, but that was absolutely scorched and for certain a chance. around 112 for 1.
What's up, Doug?
What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
"91 runs between them, Lahiru Milantha and Rahul Jadiwala. The half-century's been brought up. Arshbuch's wicket back in the 4th over, a long-forgotten memory. This partnership now 10 overs old. And coming up on the century mark, 93 now off 64 balls. The Silicon Valley Strikers find themselves very, very close to finishing off win number 3 of the campaign, just 27 needed off of 36. And there you see that partnership. Lahiru Milantha did not have much going on up until Jadiwala came out here. It was all Arshbuch in the early going, as that's going to be a quick single taken. These strikers have been absolutely on point, as we said, just with the rotation of the strike throughout. They really have not let Golden State get comfortable. They've got 2 relatively complementary batters in terms of what they hit well and what they don't. As a result, it's hard to know what exactly you want to target. Niraj Goel is going to be bowling his final over of the match, trying to see if he can break this partnership before it reaches 100. And certainly before the Silicon Valley Strikers reach 139, which is the magic number. Little trouble reading the pace on that one for Jadiwala. That'll go through to Bramble. As we said, these 2 matches this weekend, pretty big ones for the Silicon Valley Strikers, trying to nudge themselves up over 500 and get a decent spot in this race behind the currently undefeated East Bay Blazers at 3-0. So that's worked out to the offside. That'll be a single. And singles get it done at this point. No sense taking crazy risks. If you get a bad ball, put it away. But 25 now needed off a 33-ball kitty remaining. Fielders, as they've had to all day today, shifting around in places. Coping with the left-hander on strike, Lahiru Milantha surveying the scene. Here comes Niraj Goel with the 4th ball of the over. Milantha, using the feet well, manages to give himself enough lever to reach that one. Almost managed to pick the gap wide of the man at long on, but it'll just be another single here. Seen some very busy batting. Be it movement between the wickets or movement inside your own crease to try to get what you need out of that delivery. Jadiwala, though, stand and fire on that one. No need to move the feet. That was already in the arc. If you're Niraj Goel, you're happy to, at the very least, be limiting them to singles and a couple dots here and there. But if you're the Strikers, you're happy to be a ball away from seeing him off without having taken a wicket. Milantha steps up. Got a direct hit from Bramble, but Lahiru has worked his way back into his popping crease. That'll go down as a... Excuse me, my mistake. That is a catch. Did not see the signal initially. We're going to have to wait to get clarification on this. My sincere apologies for missing that. Initially, I thought it was a feathered edge back. Niraj Goel has struck. The question now is, was that caught behind or was it a run out / stumping? Thought he might have gotten a piece of that. Bramble turns, fires, hits the stumps. Melantha certainly out of his ground, so I believe it is actually going to go down. We'll turn to Crick Clubs here to get the confirmation. It actually goes down as one of the longest range stumpings I've ever seen in my life. Generally speaking, those of you that might be newer to cricket, you're accustomed to a stumping being a wicketkeeper whipping the bails off with the ball while he's standing right behind them. But in this case here, Melantha comes forward to try to attack that delivery. And once Bramble has it nestle into his gloves, turns, fires, and breaks the wicket before Melantha can get back. That is a regulation stumping. And that is wicket number 2 down, and that is the end of the partnership, which Niraj Goel has managed to stop just shy of reaching the 100 mark. It goes for 97 runs for the second wicket. We're about ready for the death overs. We'll just keep it right here, as Rahul Jadiwala is now joined by Pranay Suri out in the center. Suri so far today, rather this season, I meant to say. We mentioned he was promoted to the opening spot on Sunday against Seattle as they looked for a little something different. He has been out in single digits 3 of 4 times, had a very quick fire 21 for his high score on the season. But the big thing for him so far is that he has been very much all or nothing. Of the 38 runs he's scored this season, 32 of them have come off boundaries. And so the tendency that we've seen from Jadiwala rather and Melantha to be very busy between the wickets. It'll be interesting to see whether that continues here. It has not been Suri's MO so far this season, but in a situation where you need 23 runs off 30 balls, maybe you start looking a little bit more for that. It's going to be Sadaf Hussain from the Sahadeo Pavilion end of the ground. Up until just a few minutes ago, Hussain had the only wicket on the day, the LBW against Arshpuch. That happening 11 overs and 97 runs ago. It's been economical here on minor league cricket debut. 10 runs from his 2 overs, and he'll be looking for a little more of that, and particularly a few more wickets, because at this point, that's pretty much the only way that Golden State are protecting this. It's going to be hard to strangulate the flow of runs sufficiently here, although Jadiwala, again, dancing down the pitch, thinking about a run. Suri sends him back as Sohan Bhatt came crashing in to pick it up. 23 off 29. Suri last year, 131 strike rate. Very good at the death. This was the portion of the match where he shined last year, a 176 strike rate in death overs. Jadiwala waits on that one, but knocked down, and Suri this time the one who's danced down the pitch and has to ask for forgiveness from his partner at the other end. Jadiwala sending him back, a pair of dots to start here for Hussain. Dot ball pressure is going to have to be the name of the game here. That one roped over towards the onside, picked up at the boundary. They'll just take the single from it as Jadiwala plays a little dodgeball with the throw back in from the outfield. Zia Shahzad roaming out there at long on. Bit of protection behind Suri. They've got a deep third man and a deep backward square for him right now. Suri, like the absent Jayasuriya, very comfortable playing the ball back behind him. Looking for that area right now, but he does keep it out in front of the man in the deep. Does not go around the corner, and he's got himself a 4. We did tell you, 32 of 38 runs so far on the season, make it 36 of 42 now, have come by way of boundaries. Short pitched ball, Suri does well to get on top of that, keep it from ending up aerial. Wouldn't have been the end of the world had it been aerial. Nobody in that general vicinity at mid-wicket. This time he's going inside out and looks like he's picked the gap on the offside. Back-to-back boundaries. I love it when a statistic proves prophetic. Back-to-back fours, and the asking rate has dropped precipitously. 14 now needed off the final 4 overs and 1 ball. Silicon Valley strikers really should get it done from this point forward and start thinking about how they're going to attack this team tomorrow. Pace-off delivery, a quick appeal, half-hearted. Umpire uninterested. That'll do it for the 16th over. 4 overs left, but a pair of 4s from that one. And it's just 14 needed for Silicon Valley to walk away with the victory today in Davis. 125 for 2.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Lahiru Milanta, your high score today, the 63 off 47 before the stumping at the hands of Anthony Bramble. Back behind the stumps, Jadiwala survives at a run-a-ball 33, and Pranay Suri is already off to the races with 8 off the 3 he's faced. Silicon Valley strikers in the driver's seat right now. They have generally managed to bat smartly. They have batted busily. They have taken runs when they've been on offer. They have put away the bad balls. It's been a clinic so far today in this second innings. And there's another bad ball being looked to put away. That is going to get through Sohan Bhatt as it splits that gap into the trees and perhaps over the bank into the creek. Another 4 runs to tack on to the total. Just 10 now needed as a pair of Golden State Grizzlies go searching for the ball. It does appear they've obtained it. Another just gorgeous pull shot there. Jadiwala put together a phenomenal innings here. Mentioned before, he'd been struggling to stick around in the last handful of games. 21 off 22 in the opening day game, but since then 8 off 13, a 3-ball duck, and 1 off 7. Digging in again against Zia Shahzad. Looks like they'll try to take a pair here. Want to get this done as quickly as they can. The throw will go down to the wicketkeeper's end, but Jadiwala is home with another 2 runs, and Zia Shahzad's struggles today continue. He went for 17 off his first over. So far 6 off the first 2. 2 good thwacks, and the Silicon Valley strikers could be done here today. Jadiwala taps that one back to Shahzad. As we've told you, same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow, 11 a.m. Grizzlies Strikers. Officially a Strikers home game, even though it's here in Davis, as we have a diving attempt to keep that one in the field of play. Niraj Gul will go and chase it. It's going to be a pair of runs. Jadiwala up to 41. And the Silicon Valley strikers potentially 1 swing away from finishing this thing off. 6 needed. It's going to get by Bramble, and they'll take a bye here. In fact, that is going to go all the way back down to near the boundary. Didn't get over the line, so it will just be a pair of byes there, but that much closer, 4 runs away. Win would move Silicon Valley into a tie on points with East Bay Blazers atop the division. It would trail on net run rate, although that net run rate would be helped the sooner they can pick up these last 4 runs. Nice diving stop there by Sammy Aslam in the covers. That's going to do it for over number 17. 18 balls left to bowl, but just 4 runs needed for victory for Silicon Valley. 135 for 2. Rahul Jadiwala up to 41 runs, and we're actually going to get our first look at Vatsal Vagela in a situation where the Grizzlies would desperately need his wicket taking, because that's about the only way this is going any other way but blue. Jadiwala on 41, Surrey on 8. Milantha, your high scorer, part of that 97-run second wicket partnership. More than doubling the big partnership that the Golden State Grizzlies had to get themselves into a defensible position. Vagela looks like he struck timber, and Pranay Surrey is done. So we did say he was in for the potential wicket taking, managed to bend that one around the body of Pranay Surrey and take out leg stump. That was a wild delivery there. Let's get another look at that. Surrey stepping well across his stumps. Tries to go down for the sweep, misses it. The ball's just over his shoulder. We've seen a couple of players lose their wickets due to something just nudging its way over their shoulder today. One more look at it. Vatsal Vagela, it's about as good of a strike rate and an average as you can possibly ask for at this point. 1 for none. And there it goes. Such a half-hearted appeal. For a second I was trying to figure out if there was some reason that wasn't a wicket. So it'll be Ravinder Pal Singh coming in to bat along with Jadiwala here, with the Silicon Valley, of course, still needing just 4 runs to complete the victory. Ravinder Pal Singh in from some action earlier this month, and last month for that matter, at the Canadian Global T20. Played for the Vancouver Knights. Has a 147 strike rate and a 28 average in 24 T20 Is with Canada. Looking for his first runs in minor league cricket, though, as he faced 1 delivery in the game against Seattle and was gone for a golden duck against a rampant Rahul Nama. First one is dotted up here. And we do talk a lot about what would be necessary for the win and so forth, but for sure, as that one is going to find timber as well. Second duck on the bounce for Ravinder Pal Singh. 2 wickets in the over for Vatsal Vagela. Working on a double wicket maiden. Don't get ahead of ourselves. We've still got 3 more balls left in the over. But quite the start to the affair here. And it begs the question why we saw no Vatsal Vagela to this point. We theorized that it was because Milantha had certainly had his success against left-arm spin bowling, but at some point you got to try something to break that partnership, and at least based on the results we're seeing so far, excellent stuff here from Vagela. That'll bring Gary Graham out. And at the very least, what this is likely to do is be some nice cosmetics on the Golden State run rate. The net run rate can be a very crucial thing. Last year, it was the decider between whether Seattle or East Bay went to the playoffs. So both of these teams well aware of the potential importance of that. I mean, heck, Golden State was the team that got belted by Seattle so that the Thunderbolts could run down the Blazers, claim that playoff spot, and happy ending of happy endings, wind up being champions of minor league cricket. So important work here for Vagela on at least 1 column of the standings table. That'll be worked into the onside by Gary Graham. Protection at mid-wicket, 3 away from victory now, but it's certainly been a more eventful end to this chase than it looked like it was going to be about 10 minutes ago. Penultimate delivery of the over, here comes, and that one gets some nice purchase off the surface. Jadiwala will just see it out. That one looked like it might be a wide, but it manages to bend back towards the pads. Jadiwala will work it away to backward square, and that's going to be a second run from the over. But 2 wickets and 2 runs off of it. 2 overs left. 2 runs needed. Deuces wild, 137 for 4.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
It will be Zia Shahzad coming from the Usman Khan end. His first delivery to Jadiwala guided into the gap, and that is going to level the scores here at 138. 11 balls left to get that 1 run. That'll mean win number 3 on the season for Silicon Valley. As we said, that'll put him into a tie on points with East Bay. 2 points ahead in the standings of 3rd place SoCal Lashings. Seattle in 4th. Golden State, none from 2 games, will be sitting in 5th alongside San Diego Surf Riders. And the 1 run here from Gary Graham will be all that's necessary. That takes care of business here. It is a victory by 6 wickets with 10 balls remaining as Silicon Valley Strikers go 139 for 4. A little bit of anticlimax there at the end, but certainly some enjoyable action in between. Of course, the big partnership between Rahul Jadiwala, the man you see there on screen, and Lahiru Milanta, who picks up his 2nd half-century as a Silicon Valley striker. That partnership, the big difference, that and of course some stellar bowling early in the piece from Saurabh Netravalkar. His 4 wickets down the stretch, enough to keep Golden State from getting away when they did begin a bit in the way of some acceleration. We'll take a look here at the batting scorecards here as the congratulations and good games are given across the way here along the pitch. It's a rather short card here for the Silicon Valley Strikers. Only lost the 4 wickets. But again, Lahiru Milanta, the big star, the big hitter on the day, although Arshbuch, a nice cameo at the beginning. Got them off to a good start. A couple of boundaries early, 12 off 13 for him before he was out LBW. But then Jadiwala and Milanta, the 97-run partnership, got them within striking distance. A little bit of a late flurry there, as after Niraj Gul got Lahiru Milanta to come forward into a stumping, we did see Vatsal Vagela take a couple of wickets, picking off Pranay Suri and Ravinder Pal Singh in the course of the 18th over. But window dressing at the end of the day, Gary Graham a satisfying 2 off 2 as he picks up the winning run there at the end of the day. A look at the bowling card, and again, the big question, why so long to wait to give Vatsal Vagela a chance with the ball? I have a hard time believing it would have gone a whole lot worse than some of the earlier attempts to break that partnership did. You do see some economical bowling up top. Niraj Gul, Sadaf Hussain, and Harish Kakani all coming in around that run per ball mark. Same thing with Shivam Mishra. A bit of a surprise to see him taking the 2 overs there with off spin. First appearances of the season for him. Mohit Nataraj batted around a little bit there. 28 off of his 3 and 27 off of 14 deliveries for Zia Shahzad. A day he'll probably want to file away and forget as Silicon Valley Strikers get the job done and take the victory by 6 wickets. Going to have a look here at a few highlights here of the first innings, give you a sense of the story. As we said, Golden State Grizzlies won the toss. They were put in to bat. We see Colin Archibald right here, victimized by Sammy Aslam right out of the gate. An early boundary for Sammy, a good sign of intent, but it was a very little bit of intent and then an immediate departure as he was picked off, caught behind there on a ball that deviated a good foot or so off the surface to take him out. And it was Dev Thadani late in the power play who managed to get Anthony Bramble to hole out. He started with a couple of decent boundary shots here, but it would be very soon after. Excuse me, my correction. I'm remembering somebody else getting something else Dev Tadani did. It was Surrey getting Bramble, rather, to hole out on that delivery out to long on after a couple of good-looking boundary shots. Here comes Tadani goodness, getting Shiva Mishra to chop on. At that point, a bit of an emergency for the Golden State Grizzlies as they had lost their 3 just barely outside the power play, and 3 of their biggest hitters already in the shed. Pranay Surrey here, victimized by the batting star of the day for Golden State Grizzlies, and that was Harish Kakani. Thought that the primary batters were all gone by that point, but Kakani putting on a bit of a display. You see that 6 there, driven straight away. A few more tasty-looking shots from Kakani as well. This one just getting under the grasp of Dev Tadani as he patrolled at the boundary. And, of course, Tadani, after watching one just barely escape his grasp, also had a couple of them go over the field. We see Ravinder Pal Singh there a little confused as he makes the catch and then realizes he is outside the playing surface by that point. A 6 there. And that wouldn't be all the damage that Kakani would do on that one, but a bit of a shout there for a potential caught behind. Went wanting with Kakani on 27, and he would add a little bit more to that total. Harish drilling one here off of Srinivas Raghavan in the 13th over. Frustration on the faces of the Silicon Valley Strikers, even as that run rate was not yet becoming much of a problem. It was still frustrating to see somebody who you weren't expecting to do that kind of damage, giving you so much trouble. But it would be Srini Raghavan a couple of balls later, sending Kakani packing. Again, caught behind Rahul Jadiwala with several wicketkeeper dismissals over the course of the day. He led the league in that category last year. And then moments later, Saurabh Netravalkar starting the beginning of his second spell in style here after a dot and a leg by, blows up middle stump on Mohit Nataraj. And that would be nowhere near the only damage done by the big man from Mumbai, as he would then trap Karan Chandel for a golden duck LBW there in front. And Netravalkar was not done yet. We'll see a little more from him in just a moment. Sohan Bhatt, though, some decent-looking batting before he was in trouble there with, against Archibald, very nearly dismissed on that delivery. Take a look here at him with the inside-out swing to drill one out for 4. Dev Tadani struggling to try and keep that one in play. Then it was the Netravalkar show again in the 18th over as he gets Sohan Bhatt to nip that one back to Jadiwala again. Stop me if you've heard that one before. And then just as we were calling for him to just bowl out the side with a hat trick and try and get that 6 for 9 that he had against the Washington Freedom, he does exactly what we were asking on at least the first delivery of it, and gets Zia Shahzad to finally hole out. And you thought at this point that was probably it for Golden State's batting, except for the fact that Niraj Gul and Sadaf Hussain in at 9 and 10 end up doing some serious work going forward here. Netravalkar thought he had him there, but in these final 2 overs, they take 2, the bowling of Colin Archibald. Niraj Gul there, drilling that one in the direction of the houses. Sorry about your insurance payments. There's another drill from Niraj Gul again, as he tried to make that ball aquatic, hitting it out over near the practice nets by the creek. And then Sadaf Hussain getting involved in the party as well. Had 7 off 7 at this point, and then drills one into the spectator area and into the player benches area there to finish things off. And that 6, coupled with a 2 there just a few moments later, would put Golden State at 138 for 8. And provide the Strikers rather with a target of 139. And we see here again the card with the bowling stats as we pull up the highlights from innings number 2. And a quick review of how Silicon Valley Strikers made work of this. Sadaf Hussain early on there getting knocked around by Arsh Butch. We told you before, an excellent start for him. Butch restored to the opener role that he lost last year with a couple of ineffective performances. Didn't stick around for a tremendous period of time, but did manage to make the best of the time he was there. A couple of boundaries, went for 12 runs. None prettier than that high arcing 4 that he hit to mid-wicket. But it would be here in the 4th over that he would be gone LBW. That wicket, the only one that Golden State would have for a good long chunk of time, because as they're thinking they're making inroads by getting Arsh Butch out of here, It's now the Rahul Jadiwala and Lahiru Milantha show, and Jadiwala got off to an immediate start. First ball he faced carved away to the offside for a 4. And he and Milantha would partner brilliantly over the course of 97 runs and 11 overs. Lahiru Milantha starting to get into the act. He had a couple of boundaries where he really rode his luck, a few that were just barely outside the considerable wingspan of Zia Shahzad. This was a pretty one, a scoop shot over the top of Zia Shahzad. For a moment you thought that Zia had a bead on that one, but it was just about 3 or 4 feet too long. Shahzad, his frustration in the field compounded by a difficult day with the ball in hand. A few misfields certainly complicating things as well, but the boundaries flowed well and truly off of Zia Shahzad, and there's another good example of one that was hit more or less directly over our head here in the commentary position. Milantha continuing to target just about any bowler he feels like. Last season, he was not particularly great against leg spin, didn't see a whole lot of it, but certainly took a liking to Zia Shahzad in these couple of overs. Shivam Mishra is a pretty economical bowler today, brought on a little bit surprisingly for a dose of off-spin. That necessitated by the decision to generally hold Vatsal Vagela out of the action for a while. Mohit Nataraj also saw some time. Had a very good economical first over, just 3 runs from it, but was greeted pretty rudely when he started his second by that 4, riding the luck a little bit. This one, nothing lucky about that. A hard 6 that put Milantha within touching distance of a second century here in minor league cricket with the Silicon Valley Strikers, and he would finish that off on the very, or two balls later rather, with this 6 just past the reach of Sohan Bhatt. By this point, 34 needed, and off of just 7 overs, and Lahiru Milantha continued to roll. Kakani, who had been very economical up to this point, victimized there. Niraj Gul, final ball of the 15th over, though, does finally get the breakthrough, just 3 runs shy of the century partnership, gets him stumped. And Pranay Suri comes out, does a little damage of his own here alongside Rahul Jadiwala. Suri brought back down into the number 3 position, or rather 4 position in the lineup after having opened up in Seattle on Sunday. He and Jadiwala continue to do the business, and with that 6 there, Jadiwala bringing the total needed down into single figures. There was a late interesting flurry here from Vatsal Vagela. They brought him in with just 4 runs left to get off 3 overs, and on 3 balls managed to take out Pranay Suri with this one bending around him and picking up leg stump, and then this one either chopped on or just through the gate on a big hoik by Ravinder Pal Singh. But it would be a bit too little too late from the Golden State Grizzlies bowling attack, as they would just need another 2 runs picked up ably by Gary Graham to bring this one to a close. So we see here again on this the top scorer for Golden State, Harish Kakani, a fantastic 34. Saurabh Netravalkar, 4 for 11, the big star of the first innings though for Silicon Valley Strikers. There it is again, Milantha and Jadiwala, the big partnership, the big hitting, a late flurry from Vagela, but just not enough danger offered by the Golden State Grizzlies bowling attack. They lose today to the Silicon Valley Strikers by 6 wickets. A reminder, you should tune back in here tomorrow, same place, MLC Network on YouTube, and of course follow us on our socials at MILC USA on Instagram and Facebook, at MIL Cricket on Twitter to get updates. But we'll be back here at 11 o'clock tomorrow at this very same YouTube page with another edition of Silicon Valley Strikers and Golden State Grizzlies here. Another edition of the 2023 Minor League Cricket Championships brought to you by Lakshmi.